I didn't do it. You ran it off.
we
You're very professional.
into the song. We start dancing behind the scenes, and then Paul forgets that he's got to click some buttons.
I did, and it was 44th episode in, and yet here we are.
44! Can you believe it, y'all? 44 more episodes, 6 more episodes until our 50th episode. Paul and I have no idea what we're going to do for it.
No idea. We are almost a year old, and that's a lot in this space.
Yes. Fun fact, our 50th episode will coincide with our year anniversary, so it will be a 50th/year anniversary episode.
We're going to celebrate somehow.
We don't know what we're going to do.
1 week at a time, because we got a celebration here tonight.
We do.
It's always a celebration. But who are you? You didn't even introduce yourself. Who are you?
Oh, that's right. I forget. Sometimes we have to start. Hey, y'all. Happy Monday. Welcome.
There we go.
There we go. Welcome back, y'all, to Chill to Action on the Call to Action Network. Hanging out with me. You know me. It's your girl, Danny Joy, here. Hanging out with my favorite co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio.
It is me, PLD. And yes, you can always blame me for going late. I'm always the late one. I'll take that right on the shoulders. I got big shoulders. I can carry the load. So, but I'm excited to be here today. I'm happy to be talking to our guest. This is a long time coming.
Yes. Very excited. We have been waiting for quite some time, and we are super pumped. We're all pumped. We're all happy. We're all getting the gang here. Y'all, let's get this party started. The one, the only, Mr. Coy Jandreau. I got it.
You got it. I was going to say.
Trying to figure out who presses buttons.
Did I get the Blue's Clues sounded? Did I just...
That's I loved Blue's Clues growing up, so
I'm not mad. I'm like just looking for clues now at this point. Aware that
we'll get our notepads out. We just got a letter. We just got a letter.
Remember that Nick face? How at the time was very good, but is terrifying in hindsight.
Yes,
that would just fill your entire screen with like conceptual emotions. Haunting.
Now when you're a little older and you've experimented with some things, it gets a little freaky. And
I've seen that face in not televisions.
Okay.
So we're starting the show.
This is how we do it. This is how we started on Chill to Action. Coy, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us on this Monday.
I'm so glad this worked out. You were right. This is months and months in the making. Many live events of let's figure it out. And all it took was the world stopping.
Well, some things just happen for a reason. Everything has happened in order to get Coy on Chill to Action. Worth it.
Yeah. It was meant to quarantine.
Verily.
Yes. Coy, as always, we always like to start with the same question every time that we're here to get this party started. Coy, what got you into the Schmodown? How did you get involved with the Schmodown? What kept you into the Schmodown?
So I was a movie fights champion, and in fact, one of the only people to consistently best me is the great Dan Murrell. I've beaten him, he's beaten me, but he's the guy that I go up against most because we're both that guy. And I love arguing. I'm very good at movie fights because I can have, it's not quick draw information until the speed round, which I master, but it's more like an argument with preconceived established foundation that then you launch from, which is very much my specialty. If I had no soul, I'd be a lawyer right now and have a lot more money. That said, I don't do the rapid retention as well. So Christian, I think, thought he was going to have a new star of the Schmodown because I'm very good at movie fights, but it's a different kind of thought process, it's a different kind of training, different kind of information. So I came over and I did well on my first one, and that was the last one I did well. I was a must-win every round and then somehow won, and I beat Mike Kalinowski. But if you actually watch the match, my statistics are garbage. I'm just clawing to stay alive and then somehow beat Mike. So I backwards fell into success, and then I tried a few more times, and the things I didn't remember in the moment were the things that I knew most. It was my brain didn't trust my instinct. So I found as a manager, I can use the knowledge off camera, away from the lights, to guide people to the information I have up here. When I'm doing comic book shopping, I remember writers and artists and issues from the 70s, and it's fine. But as soon as I'm on that Schmodown stage, it's who's Thor? I'm who is Thor? And yeah, so I love the Showdown, and I love my current place in it. I think I'm gonna stay a manager for the long run of Showdown. And I've really enjoyed like my team becoming a family, and I've loved shaping all of the things about the Showdown I loved as a competitor without the competing.
Perfect knowledge. I thought. Yeah. How did that transition come place? Like when did Christian come to you and say, all right, we got this managerial thing, we're doing the whole faction thing. Did he just come to you and start talking to you about it? Or
so the storyline that is in the cutscenes is very close to what happened. I worked at Collider at the time. I still do comic book shopping at Collider. There's been some confusion lately because there's an FYC campaign going around, and I'm like, hey, and it's like, this is still a thing, just quarantine. So like, comic book shopping wasn't a weekly show. What they had to do with the restructuring was, the internet shifted and we're all just catching up, but comic book shopping still exists. That's a tangent. The point being, I was at Collider all the time and Christian was at Collider all the time. And I kept being like, I know I'm really good at some of this. How do I turn that into benefiting both of us? Because spoiler alert, I love being on camera. I really enjoy what Christian's built. Like, it's really impressive that there's a recognized sport about movie trivia. And what I want to do with comic books is normalize genre content on the large scale. Christian's done that by normalizing movie trivia on a sports scale. So I always respected it to the point where I was like, I need to be involved. How do I do it? And that's kind of how it went in both narrative and reality.
That's awesome. And that you definitely made a big hit right from the stage. I don't have quite the physique you have. I mean, Coy brings a 6-pack to the party. I bring the whole keg. But
dude, quarantine 15 is real, man. I'm definitely rocking that Mississippi mud, like the jug from Trader Joe's. Like that's happening.
But definitely, I definitely think you've definitely found your spot because I mean, managerial has to talk, and you talk very well. And some people don't, so they need that mouth. So that's what works well for you.
I mean, we were once mouthy, now we're quirky, but mouths are still important.
Yes.
And still a strong part of the faction, that's for sure. So
yeah, all 10 for 10 mouths, very important. We like to do good work with our mouths in the mouthy mercs / quirky mercs.
Nice, very nice.
Hey, if we can make thousands of people happy with our mouths, we've done a good job for national television.
Those are the ratings we all need.
And that's why Christian worries about live events with me. And that's why poor Nerd Chronic with the bleeps. Like every pre-show, there's a moment of like, remember, try to keep it. And then there's like one slips in every time. Like I don't think I've yet to succeed at not being Boston for a minute.
That's so fun. I remember at the beginning of the draft talking when they were talking about the managers and getting the teams put together. A lot of the vibe that was going between that was picking a team that you have a vibe with that catches this certain type of brand. And I've always thought that you did that really well with every single one of your picks. And do you feel like everyone in your group just like really meshed well together?
So it was really important to me when assembling a team to diversify the talent as well as make sure they were cohesive. So when I was looking at it, I was combining the old style of drafting with the Moneyball style of drafting. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have any weak points, but it was more important to me that we were a family. So if someone was a strong player, but I didn't think they'd mesh, they didn't make the cut. What it had to be was the combination. So when I looked at the 30 people I narrowed it down to roughly, when I was doing my first sweep, it was like 30 people that I saw the potential in by talent wise. I then narrowed it down and I only went up to 13 people. I got 10 of my 13 people.
Nice. You got to, you actually were able to pick the choices that you had on your own personal list.
Yeah, there was only 3 people that I would have if there was an unlimited roster, there's only 3 more people.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Can you name those 3 people that you didn't get?
There's another draft in 2021, man. Who knows what's going to happen? And I feel like if I say it now, Finstock's like somewhere right now, Finstock is taking his shirt off and putting on a hat, preparing to go after the players I want. So
not wrong. You got
to ask, but I got to keep those close to the vest for next year. But I respect the scoop.
You got to push a little bit. I get that.
I'll be pusher here.
I do push a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, because that's
you gotta have good cop, bad cop. You guys are both like nice cop, but you gotta have good cop, bad cop.
I'll work on that. I'll have to work on that.
So to answer your question, when I picked them all, I even went during the draft, and I knew my number 1 draft pick was going to be, well, number 1 and 2, but you guys know what I mean. Shazam was my number 1 and 2 draft pick. I knew Mara was my number 3. That was from the very beginning. I knew I wanted the Real Rejects. So what I did was, in between 2 and 3, before we even got to 4, I consulted with my already assembled team that I knew I had and asked them what they thought of 4 and 5. And I went through my list. So even from the beginning, the moment they were mercs, we were a family because they were involved in who I was pulling next and what order. If there's behind the scenes footage at the Comedy Store, I'm literally running around the room finding the people that were on my team, because from the moment, I didn't want them to feel like I was making decisions without them. I didn't want them to feel like they were just thrown into a team they didn't like. If they didn't get along with someone, I didn't want to put someone in a position of like, hey, off the record, I don't want to help coach them. We don't get along. Like I wanted to nip that in the bud. I love Haley as a human, as a thinker. We work together well. So I knew Haley was someone I wanted. And then the Real Rejects, I just got really lucky in that I knew no one counted on them to the level I would. And I knew that Greg was more likely to get drafted because of the entrance than John. So that's the only reason the 5 and 6 was that setup. And the moment we were done, I was like, Christian, my next pick is John Humphrey. Like, I knew right then I wanted to keep them together. And then it was fun because I knew they split up the wild berries, and I was going to put back together my Merc berries. Again, very good with our mouths. So from the beginning, I knew most of the team, and the variations were, I only lost 2 people in the draft and then 1 because of space of my total 3. And all of that has been planned from January.
Wow.
Love that.
Well, let's see if you can talk. We'll try to push again a little bit. Maybe singles tournament.
This time you warned me, though. Now I'm like,
I'll see. You never know what I'm going to do. I might warn you. You might be able to die. Maybe you won't. But the singles tournament was announced. I mean, it's not the brackets, but you had your 4 picks. You got Bibiani, Nemiroff, Brendan Meyer, and Tim Franco. Can you discuss what your thoughts were? I mean, behind like what discussions were, who was available, who wasn't, why you made the choices you made.
So I have really, really enjoyed the fact that I've gotten to show everyone they were wrong about the Real Rejects, but I also don't want to be like, look at my team of 2 players. So it wasn't a lack of skill on the part of John or Greg. It wasn't a lack of they're not like tired. Well, they're tired, but like they weren't opting out. But I was also like, maybe we should let the team play. And then it went to, obviously, Shazam has not gotten to play the way we thought the season was going to go. So they were an obvious choice. I have never gotten to work with Tim Franco, but I love his personality. I'm super impressed by his record. I think he's a fantastic player. But geographically, it's like, so this is like, well, yeah. And it's really cool because Franco and I finally get to work together now. And then it was a matter of scheduling for the rest. And I know Perry the most of the rest of my team. We did movie talk together for almost a year. So she was the one I wanted to bring into the forefront of the rest that I also knew would be very shorthand. So I really wanted to involve Haley. It's not that Haley didn't want to play. It's not that I didn't want to play Haley. It's the fact that we've now got to catch up on points. It's shorthand meets where we are. If there was 5 spots, Haley'd be the next one. But it was literally just a matter of, I know Perry, and Perry's availability is a little bit easier right now because of the shorthand. And it's a matter of, I like putting in underdogs. Like, I really like people that doubt people. So I got Shazam. No one's doubting Shazam. I got Franco. No one's doubting Franco. But I feel like people think Haley would have been like, well, yeah, of course. But Perry's the sleeper, and I think she's going to surprise a lot of people, and that's my favorite shit.
That's true. No, she's definitely competitive. I remember she stopped playing back the day because she was so upset that she was losing. Like, so I think she's like really wants this bad. So
I like the fire, and that's the underdog spirit. Like in the Inner Geekdom, you want the competitor that's been, I know this nerd stuff. How do I use it? And then that's the same with the broad stroke Showdown as well. As Perry's hungry.
Mm-hmm. And plus, Perry knows the game. She's been a part of the Showdown for a long time, so she understands it, and she's already familiar with playing online. She played in the Jurassic Park match for the exhibition matches that they've done this year so far. So she's already super used to the format, and I totally agree. I love your picks for the singles tournament. I think you're going to have a solid singles tournament round, especially with Tim Franco. We're big fans of Tim Franco here on the channel. Yeah. He was here. Shameless plug. He's got a Chill to Action episode. Go back and watch that.
That's very true.
Yeah, Tim Franco is so smart. I just would like talking to him about horror movies was so much fun. So that was, and I know nothing about horror movies.
Yeah. And to be honest, that's kind of in line with my draft. Is I'm not going from statistics or how much they've played. I'm kind of doing the medley where I'm putting them in by personality of what I want to see accomplished. My whole goal of being a manager in the Showdown is to show people how much fun they can have in it. To be honest, Kevin Smith being involved is amazing, but I'm also really excited because Kevin Smith loves this world, and Kevin Smith gave me so much of my childhood. The fact that I get to show Kevin Smith something he's going to love, the fact that I get to be like, hey man, there's this thing you might enjoy. Like, that's such a gift to be like, hey, you're going to be happy, and I got to show you. And just like, he accidentally wrote my life story in Mallrats. Like, I was obsessed with the mall, a Sega Genesis nerd. Stanley was my god. I definitely hung out and said stupid shit for far too often, fell into talk show hosting. Like, the man wrote my life. So I'm very happy to be like, by the way, your new favorite sport is. So it's all about getting my players to really enjoy their lives, because especially now, we all need some happiness.
Oh, hell yeah.
Agreed.
I have to ask, is Mallrats your favorite Kevin Smith?
It's just so me. Like, it's like, you know, watching a movie that you're like, what do I do next? I guess I should go to the end. Like, it's very alarmingly prophetic. And I saw it when I was 7. Like, it came out when I was 7. I watched it way too young. It definitely, like, I've had it on VHS, DVD, and there's no Blu-ray that I can find, but I've had it on VHS and DVD, and I've worn them out because I love Mallrats so much. So nice. Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back is up there because I'm also a movie buff. So it's kind of like, he makes movies that are in universe specific to your stuff. Like, if you grew up religious and have gone through, you know, the crisis of figuring that out, Dogma's probably your thing.
Dogma's my favorite Kevin Smith movies.
If you're a hopeless romantic, Chasing Amy is probably your thing. If you're someone that's dealt with the, you know, either a cubicle life or you know, a working retail, Clerks is probably your thing. All of them appeal to everyone, but then the specificity of the characters, he writes like someone that gets everyone's perspective and then gives you a movie about your shit. So I love that man's work.
I do too. I do. I mean, I can every time I try to rank the movies, I'm always like, I like this one, but it's all like 1 to 8 are all the same. And but I look.
It's like when you talk about the Marvel movies, they're like, what are your favorites? And I was like, well, there's only 3 that I think are okay.
Right.
And then I love the rest. So, oh no, this one's an A+ and this one's an A++.
Right. Exactly
so yeah, it's like, oh no, Winter Soldier or Infinity War today. Like, it's
you win either way.
Yeah, so and I feel the same way with Kevin Smith movies, and Reboot broke me, man. I was bawling in the theater. I had a whole, like, it was my year for discovering daddy issues. I was like, I'm fine, and then I saw like that and Waves and Honey Boy, and I was like, I guess I'm learning about me. Like, it was the whole Affleck scene broke me, and I was unprepared.
Oh, the Affleck scene was the best. Took that whole movie and just kicked it up a notch, every bit of it, even the comedic moments and the emotional moments. Oh God, I could talk about that all night. Watching it, I got to watch it with Kevin Smith in the auditorium, the road show. That was even better with a big bunch of Kevin Smith fanatics. That's the way to see a Kevin Smith movie.
Dude, I mean, the theater's already so magical, and that's why I'm so glad. I've seen this show, and you guys allow tangents, so I'm sorry if I keep derailing. Okay, good.
No,
chill is the operative word, and I feel like you're like, here's a question. I'm like, so in 1976, the beautiful thing about cinema is it's church without the mandated beliefs. Like, you can all experience a movie and interpret it however you want. And I think what's really cool about the movie theater is there aren't ramifications as long as you're a good person. So you leave the movie theater having experienced a religious, in my experience, like you leave having had a communal awakening. If the movie is good, you laugh, you cry. It's very much like speaking in tongues when you have a really good experience. And I find that Comic-Con gets that way, like Hall H. I find that cult movies get that way when you revisit them, like going to see a movie 20 years ago where it's only diehard fans. Yep. And I find that certain filmmakers gather those crowds. And Kevin Smith is one of the ones that he can bring together zealots. Yes. And then we're all like, everything. And like Fast and the Furious movies do that. There's certain niche films that the Marvel films, absolutely. Like when Thor landed in Infinity War, if you weren't standing and cheering, you were probably stuck to the gum in your seat. So Kevin is an absolute titan of community experience.
Completely agree. We have a super chat. Danny Coast in there. I'd love for Kevin Smith to wear a C2A hockey jersey. If we make a call to action hockey jersey, we'll send it.
We'll get him
to wear it. Debut.
I'm in.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm a men's medium generally, but I've never worn a hockey jersey. So
Love
relative to that size.
Perfect. We'll make that work.
We'll get it made. We'll get it.
Yeah, we'll incorporate Snoochie Boochies into the chill to action like catchphrase. We'll make it happen.
Yeah. I love it. Well, since we're talking Kevin Smith, why don't we talk about how, like you mentioned a little bit backstage, what happened? Now you were saving your pick for him. So how did that all work out? How did you finally get Kevin in and to sign the dotted line, so to speak?
So I worked with Kevin on my show Comic Book Shopping after having been a fan for my life, which was definitely one of those moments. I was leaning up against Golden Apple a la Jay and Silent Bob with Silent Bob, and there was a moment of pure like, what do I do to deserve the next moment? Like every breath was like, this is a gift, remember it. And people always wonder how I'm so happy. I think it's because I try in those moments to go like, this is real. Think about how much you would have dreamt of this 6 months ago. Now experience it the same in reality. Store it for later. Next time everything sucks, you've got all this battery charge of cool shit. And then like try not to let it get too depleted. And every so often it depletes and I have to bail from the internet. But overall, like I just try to go like, this is really cool. Yeah. And like hold it in. So Kevin and I did Comic Book Shopping. And then I don't watch a lot of podcasts and I don't listen to a lot because I make so many. I've got like 7 shows and like it's just
a lot on your Patreon. I saw your Patreon and oh my goodness.
I do not mess around. I don't like free time and idle hands like dangerous. So basically I don't have time to absorb a lot of the same content I put out. I'm generally absorbing comic books and movies to give people the content. So one of the only ones I ever watched was Fat Man Beyond because I was a huge An Evening with Kevin Smith fan. So like every Evening with Kevin Smith also on DVD, very important. So basically after Comic Book Shopping, we have to take photos of the books. This is behind the scenes Comic Book Shopping. We've got to take photos of the books. The guests do get the books, but sometimes we haven't photographed them all in time. So we have to mail them to the guests or we have to be like, hold on a few minutes. And because if you think about the graphics, sometimes it's a one of one book or it's they've only got a couple hardcover like. So I was like, Kevin, do you mind if I just bring you these books to Fat Man? Because there was one like 2 days after we filmed. Okay. So I went and I left a note where like usually people leave like, please sign this DVD and all those things. So I just left a note like, hey, I'm here with your comics, Coy. And then he brought me up. And I was like, and so I was not prepared. I couldn't, like, my head was like, I don't know what to talk to Kevin Smith. Obviously, I talked comics and everything was fine, but the walk from my seat to Kevin saying my name was like when you graduate high school and you like don't know if you graduated. Like I like opened the like when you like get your diploma, you're like, okay, good, there's words in here. That was the walk up at the cantina. So I was like, this is okay. And I get up there and he's like, if you were to tell someone that's never read comics, 10 comics, go. And I was like, and it just like rattled out comics. Luckily, I was able to, be coherent. But that turned into like a acquaintanceship. Like I'd been on his show, he'd been on my show. So we hung out after the show. And again, I'm like, we've been on each other's shows and you're Kevin Smith. And then it evolved into an acquaintancy friendship. And Kevin texted me the video of his, like that video was like, I literally was like doing life and got that video. It was just like, and like had to, and I know if he sees this clip, he'll appreciate, because I know he gets that way with people that he always sees people that were famous before him as actually famous. Like when he met Joaquin Phoenix, he freaked out. So Kevin, if you're watching this, know that text was me going around my apartment. So it's been surreal since. We have talked a bit about, plans and stuff. There's a shape. But overall, like he's as cooler than you think he is. He takes more time to talk and listen to anyone that I've almost anyone I've met, successful or not successful. He's so enthusiastic and it's authentic. Like his face is made for hype. And he emotes like he's a man that feels everything. So it's just really nice to be in the presence of someone that's so in tune with what they want, who they are, how they feel. Like he makes me want to be a better man. And Kevin's he's as cool as you want him to be when you're young. So now that I'm working with him in the Showdown and I know how much fun he's going to have, it's next level surreal to anticipate where we're going.
That's awesome. That's
amazing. I love that. That's a good one. We're gonna clip that out.
really quick. We got Ben Rayner saying, "Damn, what a story!" And that's right on. Also, I know you're gonna like this super chat because I know you very well. Speaking of comic recommendations, everyone reads Saga. So go ahead.
That is correct, AJ Lancaster. That is, in fact, I saw an AJ comment before we got started that he is here for Spidey content. So, in honor of that, Spidey is laying next to the pillow of himself because his dad's a totally normal person.
Yeah, no, that's normal.
That is awesome.
Spidey is right. So that's for AJ for telling people to read Saga because that is the correct response. Read Saga.
I love that Spidey is your cat's name. You have to know Paul's cat's name.
My cat's name is Indiana Jones Marty McFly. The whole
correct.
Thing, Indiana Jones Marty McFly. And his
accurate.
He has a little brother, and it's short, round Doc Brown.
These are excellent. So Spidey Cat's not so secret identity because now I've said it on the internet like a monster. I've outed, but so many people know Peter Parker as Spider-Man. Come on.
Right.
He often, especially on shows, people think he's high. Spidey doesn't like catnip. He actually doesn't enjoy it. So Spidey's not high. He's so chill. His secret identity is Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
So his middle name is Tiberius, so he is Spidey Tiberius Cat, but his secret identity is Matthew McConaughey. So
I love
I'm
that.
also not known for my brevity, so I appreciate the full name there.
Perfect, I love it.
But yeah, he's the best. He just turned 6 last week.
Oh, happy birthday, buddies!
Yeah, he's a 4th of July kitten.
Yeah, that is probably true, Robert. That'll be my next cat, J. Jonah. Yeah, I like that idea.
That would be a good name for your cat, Paul.
I'm gonna have to. I do.
Yeah, Jake is one of the people that is convinced that the great Spidey cat is high as fuck. He's like his dad. He's either really hyphy or just like mellow ride it out. Like we vibe off each other. When I'm too hyphy, he calms me down, and vice versa. He's very much my like symbiote. Like this is my Venom boy.
Oh,
perfect.
That's very cute.
Well, Danny did mention the Patreon. Jake, if you're back there, you can throw that Patreon in the link. It's in our description as well, but throw it out there in the chat. You do a lot of ratings and reviews. Is there anything that you're like watching, reading right now that you're just doing just to enjoy and take in? Because I know you do so much for your work. Is there anything you really want to just take in?
I am so bad at relaxing. I got a Fitbit to see what my heart rate was when I rest, and I learned that I was gonna die young. So when I got this, my resting heart rate was 108. And I work out, so it's not like it's not. It should be lower.
Right. So
I've been working on my breathing and my trying to calm down. Again, I don't need drugs. I just live big. So it's the need to find things that relax me that I struggle with. So admittedly, my Patreon is a gift and a curse because it means everything I do, I'm going to quantify. The only two I'm mandating that I watch 2 shows that I don't take notes on during, that I just broad stroke rate. So even those I'm rating, but at least I'm like, when I get to the end of the season, I will say the letter. But every single movie I watch, I rate on Patreon. Every single comic I read, I rate on Patreon. I do a review a week. One of the tiers is people.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
And there we go.
Lost. Wait, we lost you, Coy. We lost you a little bit. Hold on. I think you're back.
Oh, back. Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. Sorry, my mom called. Hi, Mom. So basically, everything is shaped around making content. So I'm mandating 2 shows at a time that are for fun. So I'm currently watching The West Wing for the first time, which I'm loving because I'm getting more and more political and radicalized and crazy and hemorrhaging followers because of it, but I don't need them. If you're on the wrong side of history, get the fuck out of here. And the other one is I somehow missed Community.
Okay.
So I find the shows the most backwards way ever. I started watching The Office because I know of Nick Offerman, the author. So I love Nick Offerman, the writer of books.
Yeah.
He wrote Paddle Your Own Canoe, one of my favorite self-help books turned autobiography. He wrote Gumption about the great Americans. He's a brilliant comedic writer, and he's great stand-up. Like he's like a classic American humorist as much as he is a stand-up, and that's a lost art, I find. So I was a giant fan of humorist Nick Offerman. And then I was reading these books, and I was like, this Parks and Rec show sounds like a delight. So 10 years after it ended, I watched Parks and Rec, and I worked with Chris Pratt. I was in a movie where I played his little brother. I worked with Aubrey Plaza on a movie called The To-Do List. I discovered that I am Rob Lowe while watching it. So like this show, like Chris Traeger is literally who I am in so many ways. So I'm watching the show and I'm like, what a delight, as expected. And then I was like, I hear this Office show inspired Parks and Rec. So I only watched The Office last year.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm a giant Donald Glover fan. Again, he was in The To-Do List as well, which I worked on with Aubrey. So I got to work with Donald Glover. And that was such an experience that I discovered Childish Gambino through Mystery Team, which was a comedy troupe he was in back when I was in college. Like it was OG YouTube. So I was a Mystery Team fan and then didn't really know anything but Childish Gambino and his comedy. And then like Community is the first show I've seen that's written by nerds, for nerds, about nerds, that isn't pandering or insulting. It's the anti-Big Bang Theory. Fuck the Big Bang Theory.
Gotcha on that one. All right. Coy is definitely Chris Traeger, according to
Chris Traeger. So Donald Glover wrote on 30 Rock. Did you ever watch 30 Rock?
It is on the queue. I have watched 30 Rock.
I loved 30 Rock when it was on. That was my TV rotation. I watched 30 Rock, Parks and Rec, The Office. I watched them all, and Community. I watched them all when they were on TV. I remember every single one of their series finales, crying balls of tears. Watch 30 Rock. I love that show also.
So I'm a bit of an OCD listy guy. I love lists. So at the beginning of quarantine, I did a list of the 40 things I need to watch.
Nice.
The first two were The West Wing and Community. I have 38 left, but because I'm so busy, like I'm only making, which is insane. We're 4 months in. I quarantined first on March 12th. So I passed day 100 a while ago.
Wow.
I didn't break it until my 83rd day to go March. So I did 83 days straight where I only went to the grocery store and I only went to record podcasts with no other contact.
Wow.
And then the world imploded and I was like, I can't be someone not doing anything. So I went out. Anyway, but in 83 days, I only watched 3 seasons of 2 shows for fun. Like I'm very bad at enjoying things.
You know what, though? When you put out the kind of content you do, then, it's worth it. I do want to say also, AJ Lancaster, again, coolest Patreon tier is the Tots on Coy's Patreon. It's $100, but he does an in-depth review of a movie of your choice at Coy speed, which is, as you know, far past ludicrous speed, far past ridiculous speed. It's
30 minutes at my speed, and what I do is I watch the content, I watch interviews with all the creators, the writer, the director, the actors, I research all the trivia, I get box office statistics, and I inform how it helped cinema go forward and all of the bits about the movie you probably don't know and my opinion. So it's like a thesis paper that I do. And at the $100 tier, you get access to the Discord, the Patreon only podcast, which is 4 times a month. You get access to all of my comic ratings, all of my movie ratings, and you get the review itself. All of that.
Wow. I might have to dip into that and have you watch it.
I don't like free time.
No, let me work.
I'll have to watch have you watch an Ed Harris movie for me then. That's what I'll have to do.
Dude, I so much love Ed. I've never seen Pollock, which is like on the list.
Oh, so freaking good. Oh man, it's so good. Fucking labor.
It took 33 minutes for Paul to bring up Ed Harris.
Is that a record? I'm proud. Apollo is incredible. Apollo 13. There's so much good Ed Harris out there. He's always so good at being like, he's either the bad guy because it's obvious or it's a twist and you never know.
You never knew it was coming, right? And The Rock and so many good episodes with him. But
The Rock is my second favorite Michael Bay movie next to Pain and Gain.
Which also has Ed Harris in it, so we're all good.
And Pain and Gain is they finally decided that Michael Bay should make a Michael Bay film. Like they let him make Bad Boys. They let him make Bad Boys too, and then they were like, you should make Pearl Harbor and Transformers, and like, what is he doing? And then one day they were like, what if we gave Michael Bay a lot of LSD in The Rock? And they like let him shoot the hell out of the craziest steroid binge ever. Like that movie is made for the second unit perfection that Michael Bay is. Imagine if Michael Bay teamed up with like a Chris Nolan or a Spielberg as a second unit director and punched up the action but let them do the dialogue. Like the cinema we would get. Holy
shit, that would be mind-blowing. It really would. Oh my god.
Like I love Zack Snyder and I love Michael Bay, and I'm not disrespecting them by saying second unit director, but I'm suggesting a team up. A la Lord and Miller, a la the Wachowskis, like having a compatriot to balance your talents. I would love to see either of them as a piece of a giant awesome pole.
That's what we definitely could. We should definitely. We can't make that work, but I would love to see that work out somewhere. Oh my
guys,
God.
we're gonna make it.
Oh my mind.
We're gonna make a show. We're gonna do a show where we just talk about it and think of the best directors for that.
We'll create the best team, and we'll somehow make it work. I don't know how we're gonna get there. We'll make it work.
So I want to do the second unit is Zack Snyder for the visuals.
Yes,
but I want David Fincher to do a Ronin Wolverine movie.
Ooh.
Oh my God, that would work.
So we'd have a walkabout, ostracized from Eastern culture, Gaijin Wolverine trying to figure out who he is as a man, with scope from Zac Efron, but the depth and pathos of David Fincher. That's what I want.
Holy shit! You just blew my mind.
That's why I do movie fights, man. I just thought of that. I'm just pulling stuff out of the air and hoping to make it work.
Oh man, I gotta throw Villeneuve in there somewhere because he's my favorite current one. So I'm trying to work Villeneuve in there somewhere. Oh man.
Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve, yes.
Okay, give me a second unit director and I'll make a pitch.
Well, I mean, we just talked about Michael Bay, Denis Villeneuve,
okay.
and
Michael Bay, Denis Villeneuve. I love what Denis does with ensembles. I think Prisoners was brilliant. I think Blade Runner is a slept-on ensemble because it's a great piece, but it's also the whole cast. So
yes,
I want a Denis Generation X movie with Chamber, Jubilee, like that Generation X. Give me the Blade Runner visuals. So all of that teen angst that you could have Michael Bay shape all of the, editing and pizzazz for Generation X. And let's ignore that he's Batman for now. Robert Pattinson is Chamber.
Holy shit, I want that movie. I want that movie right now.
Movie fights.
There you go. Nailed it. There we go. Pretty much right on. Oh, just like that.
I don't know much about comic books, but I have faith in you, and I believe you created something great. So
I accept your unknown compliment at face value.
As it is deserved. Well, let's talk about comics. And listen, how did you get let's talk about your introduction to comics, how you got into comics and got your love for it.
So I was 3. There's a photo of me on my 3rd birthday with Todd McFarlane's Torment #2 behind me. Todd McFarlane's Torment, not for kids.
No, not at all.
I knew the word ravaged before I knew a lot of colors, and I also thought it was ravaged until I was 9.
Nice.
Because I hadn't heard it, I'd only read it. And the English language, that should be ravaged, aged.
Yes, that makes sense.
So I called it Battle. All the toys were Battle Ravaged.
Battle Ravage.
But I started reading at 3 with Spider-Man because I loved Spider-Man, and Todd McFarlane was my introduction, which is another surreal thing that I like. I've gotten to work with Todd, and I've gotten it's so the man that helped me learn to read. That's just crazy.
Oh.
So I started reading right away. I said tractor because I was born in the South, then dinosaur, then mom. I was a really strange child. So reading was very quick. My brain really liked words. I still to this day love language and, oratory and being verbose and all sorts of fun, multiple syllable words. I like the sound of language. I like the diction. The reason I like comics is the same reason I like Sorkin. I like the sound of the poetry in it. And like Donny Cates Store right now, sometimes I get weird and read it out loud because the language is so beautiful. I want to hear it, and I'm by myself because quarantine. So I picked up comics because I loved what they were able to do. Since I couldn't logically read yet, the pictures helped me put together the words.
Makes sense.
So I learned with a picture book that happened to be comic books. And then my dad was a huge comic book buff. He had all the Claremont Byrne stuff. He read a lot of indies. He had Cerebus. He was both Marvel and DC, so I never got into the gang war. Fun fact, I did a show called Marvel Movie News because that's the show that called me, not because I hate DC.
Okay.
I love comic books, and I've been fighting against that that sticker forever. But I always read comics and I always loved comics, but it wasn't until I had been an actor already. I worked on a movie called R.I.P.D., which is not very good. And no disrespect to the creators of R.I.P.D. But it's not great. But what it got me was I got to talk to Jeff Bridges about Deadpool. And it was one of the singular most, like, I'm sharing something that means so much to me that's creative with a creator, a creative whose work I admire, and we're engaged in sharing art. You and I are exchanging art and creativity and ideas. And that moment I was like, wait, this is different. And then it wasn't like a year later, Screen Junkies knew that I was obsessed with Deadpool, but no one knew who Deadpool was. I literally did a show called Please Explain Deadpool because no one knew who Deadpool was. It got 1 million views because that was when the internet was working. And I was like, wait, people care about my opinion? The next day, a kid came up to me on the street, way too young to read Deadpool, and said that I, like, got Deadpool. He was like, yeah, you get it. Like that old man, like, yeah, old man, you get Deadpool. And I was like, I was recognized for the art. And I got addicted to it. I prefer live over scripted. Like I worked on The Social Network, which was an honor, but it was 37 takes one day. And that's David Fincher. That's why he's a master. No disrespect. But I was definitely like, I don't think that I love this part of it enough that it's worth the 500 no's that it takes to be an actor. You get told no for a living. So like I didn't love the yes enough, but hosting is something that I interviewed someone today twice on 2 different shows. Same person 2 times. It drops Wednesday and Wednesday. Both one audio, one visual drops Wednesday. And I hadn't been able to interview anyone in months because of this. And my internet's been bad. I've not had the ability. Today, I got to do my job twice, and I was literally so giddy. I was dancing around my house when I was done because I love it so much. Like I would do this for free, but I can't eat. So it's really nice to find something you love so much you're willing to do it for nothing. And most of the shows I've done, I'm willing to do for free or just like gas. Right. But it's really nice to know you love something that much. So I was able to combine my love of acting with my love of language, with my love of comic books. And I've literally not stopped knocking on a door since that Deadpool day. I've cold called studios. I've written emails. I've read comics that I wouldn't have normally read for the sake of maybe an indie person will want me over there. I work 7 days a week, arguably 10 to 12 hours a day, nonstop by either creating content or looking for my next bit of content because I know that this is a gift. I know that what I get to do for a living is a 1 in a million shot. So if I don't appreciate it every minute of every fucking day, then it's not worth the next person that should be doing it instead. Like, this is my fucking time.
That's right.
I hope that answered your question. I got totally derailed.
No, please.
Every time you finish speaking, I feel like I have to stand up and applaud. Like it's
I love language.
Exactly. Yes. Coy is a fucking legend, Jake. You are correct. That is true. Very true. We are.
And also, how cool is it that we get to do stuff because of where we are in technology? Like, yes, 2020 sucks. Yeah, but at any other point in technology, we were never this connected. We never had this much access to all the knowledge that mankind has ever made public. When we were kids, encyclopedias were fucking necessary. They weren't just existent. Like, you had to look shit up. Like, people forget 20 years is not that long. 20 years ago, the internet was like, and you had to figure shit out. So we've leapt so far. And so the idea that we get to combine that with a moral compass combined with, the heroism of all these things. Comic books are about being your true best self. And the best comic books make you relate to the character while inspiring you to do better, and they educate you. So they do the best of all of pop culture, and they're so popular right now. The movies make $1 billion. The comics are able to stay afloat, and we get to talk about them because the advent of the internet, people actually give a shit. Like, as much as this year sucks, it's insane that all of history led to this moment. Me talking to you right now. If any butterfly that happened before happened, this conversation could not have happened like that. And that is magic every day.
It is. I got to think about it. I had a feel it's like back in the day, comic books weren't cool, everything else, whatever it was. But like, I feel like they were cool, but no one was able to connect with each other enough.
They were cool, man.
They were cool. Exactly. But now everybody realized they're cool, so we can actually connect in this technology with all the people around the world who do think they're cool. We've made our voice heard, and now Everybody thinks they're cool. There you go.
This is a Deadpool shirt.
Love it.
But it's so subtle because it looks like just a t-shirt with a print on it.
Right.
When I was a kid, I hid my Spider-Man shirt under Abercrombie shirts. I shit you not. I was like, I had frosted tips, man. I was a fuck.
Yeah.
But I like wore Abercrombie, but I was always like Superman. I was like, my secret is, and now I get to be like, this is comics, and it's so cool. Like I got to go hang out with Jake Gyllenhaal in London and talk about Spider-Man. Like that's crazy.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Do you have a favorite episode of comic book shopping?
They all mean different things to me because all the creators were very important to me for different reasons. The person I knew the least was Jackson A. Dunn, but he was our youngest guest. So it was really cool for me to engage with another generation he's like a skater kid and he's an artist. He's a fantastic actor. And he knew comic books from the golden age and Superman. Like he knew the weird shit. So it was really cool to show him stuff that I assumed he'd know and didn't. And it was really cool to engage. Oh, shit. There's a cat on screen.
Yep.
There's Indiana. There's Indiana Jones, Marty McFly.
That cat is 8 times the size of Spidey.
He's huge.
That is a long. Oh, my God. He's even bigger when you.
He loves it with my podcast. He always decides that's when he's going to jump in front of me.
That's amazing.
We get to hang out with Indiana almost every Monday.
I respect it. So sorry. I got distracted.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, thank you. I really think each guest brought something different because giant Stranger Things fan. I got to talk to David Harbour about Sorkin. There's actually a running joke in the episode that got cut for time. Another behind the scenes moment. If you rewatch the episode, there's a moment where he interrupts and goes, "And the newsroom." And because there was a running joke about the newsroom, but out of context, it's like, why did they just yell newsroom? But on the day, there was a bunch of conversation about the newsroom because I'm obsessed. And it was really cool because I got to talk to someone that's promoting, Hellboy and Stranger Things about his work from before people knew him. So I got to show him the respect that he didn't get as much for incredible work. So that was really important to me. Also, David Harbour's sense of humor is magic. So I really enjoy just vibing with him. Zach Levi, I knew from Comic-Con because he threw the best parties at Comic-Con. So we'd known each other socially, but I got to work with him and we got to share oh, you're an actual nerd? Tight. Like we got to be bro nerds. That was the first episode. And that's the biggest energy to walk into is me and Zach Levi both bouncing around a comic store. So it set the bar really high because I was like, every day is going to be like this. And then Seth and I have known each other a long time. And that one was really special to me because he and I got to talk comics at social events, but we never got to prioritize it. You got to be respectful when you're having a comic book conversation, not to control the conversation. If someone else walks up, you're not so an Amazing 252 and they debuted the black costume in the mainstream. Someone else would be so I got to go do anything else. So it was really nice to have that experience with it being the focal point. So every episode gave me something else, whether I knew the person or not. I didn't know Alex Shipp at all. Alex Shipp, who played Storm. And the moment, I'm not kidding, the moment she walked in the shop, I was like, new best friend. She radiates the excitability I have. She knew so much about comics. She was finishing my sentence. I pulled some Barry Windsor Smith Walkabout Storm issues, and she was like, oh, this inspired that scene in the movie. We didn't actually get to use that take, but this is what I was thinking. She pointed out to me that the reason she always liked Storm when she got to fly was that it was the inverse of her claustrophobia. And that's a storytelling narrative that seems so obvious the moment you say it that I just never went 1 + 1 is 2.
Right.
So she was able to give me something while I'm hosting the show that I was like, thank you, Storm. So she's one of my favorite guests only because I didn't know her at all. And I'd seen her in Straight Outta Compton, didn't realize it was her until I was doing my research. I liked her as Storm and knew she should have more screen time, which I still stand by. And then meeting her, I was like, oh, you're even cooler than I thought. And you know your comics. And then at the, I went to the X-Men premiere. I went to the premiere for Dark Phoenix. And her mom was the coolest. I met her dad. I met her brothers. We all broed out. It was a family experience. And I'd known her for one shoot day. And it was like seeing an old friend, just like I knew the moment she walked in the store. And that's what I love about real conversations. I hate clickbait. I am actively against anything that uses a distractionary tactic to take away from an interview. Comic book shopping is about art. It's about the conversation. It's about expressing your art and relating it to the art. But no disrespect to BuzzFeed, but like I'm not big on like puppy stuff. Like, why are we with like? I love it. You'll get more hits, but to me, a puppy video is very, it's very Instagrammy. It's very just for clicks, and I respect people that do that for the reasons that they need to build their audience. I might have to do a puppy video. Someone will probably send this clip back to me like, "Oh, this motherfucker!" Like I would do a puppy video, but it's not the goal.
Right.
So what I like is comic book shopping because it's long form. We film as long as the talent has. We turn it into a short form thing, but I get to have the James Lipton conversations I always love. I get to have the actors round table that I watch every single one of. I love actors on actors. And I feel like my unique perspective, having been an actor, having been a stuntman, having been someone that grew up reading comics, I'm uniquely suited to do this exact job. So I actually can bring something to a conversation that Jake Gyllenhaal wouldn't know. And then I can learn what the fuck went into Nightcrawler? What the fuck was going on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's an actual tete-a-tete. I hate interviews that are one-sided. I hate when it feels like you're putting someone out, and I hate scoops. I hate when you're like, so what's Deadpool 3 gonna be? Like, that's not the point of our job. So comic book shopping is my proudest joy because it's long form. It's my exact shit. And Collider was amazing in letting me shape it my way. Like John made an incredible program, and I was never going to be like, hey, let me copy John Schnepp because no one can. No. There is no John Schnepp in the metaphorical sense or the literal sense. His shoes are too big. So it was really nice of Collider to be like, hey, we trust you. This is the show. Let's see what happens. And the show evolved into the show I always wanted to make, and now we're for your consideration for an Emmy.
Yay!
That's impressive. Rightfully so. Real quick, I just want to throw in there. There you go. Best manager right there, Tim Franco says.
Yeah, dude. Real hype that we're actually getting to work together. Like, he has no idea. It was a really funny because it was like the world stopped. And then it was like, but Tim Franco. Like, there was this, like, it was like a voice in the wind, like, but sometime this season, Franco. And now it's here. And it's been really funny because he probably doesn't even realize until this moment, like, there's been hype even from your manager wondering, like, Franco.
Well, Kelsey behind the scenes says that I'm inspired, reactivated my Comixology account, and you can't ask for anything more than that.
I broke shit. I got so excited. Thank you. I literally, like, every time someone can tell me they bought one comic, and I'm like, I did my job today. Another reason I know that I can't wait to be rich. It's going to be awesome. But I know I'm not doing this for that because I don't make any money off these comics, but I'm giving someone the gift of the experience of a comic book. I have no relationship with Marvel, DC, Image. I've worked for Skybound, but like I haven't done, like, I don't get a cut. Someone else made the stuff. So it's been really cool to give people the gift of art through this narrative. Like, it's just so warm and fuzzy.
Ow.
That's awesome, and it's true. I think it's a great experience, and I'm happy you're doing that, and I'm happy that people are being inspired by it. Comic books. Let's talk about comics. Like, what do you have? What do you put a push that's coming out soon that you're looking forward to in comic books?
For the dense readers, Strange Adventures is an existential crisis in comic book form. Okay. It is a comic written by Tom King that follows two narratives. You don't know which one is reality and which one is his memory that he thought actually happened, drawn by two different artists.
Oh, nice.
So Mitch Gerads is drawing one story, Doc Shaner's drawing the other. We as readers don't know until the end which one actually occurred. It's a comic book about perspective and how our own worldview is not accurate. Like, it's the same reason you can't use courtroom trials of, like, identification because our biases are inherent. So somehow Tom King, Mitch Gerads, and Doc Shaner have made you don't know your own opinion is true into a comic book. So that is on issue 3. Issue 3 drops on Wednesday. So you're not far behind. You're 2 issues behind. Pick it up. If you want anything that is like a space opera meets Shakespearean in scope, read Saga. Saga will change your life in a hurry. If you want something for the times, Why the Last Man, also by Brian K. Vaughan, is a dystopian thrill ride about a world where everyone with the Y chromosome dies. So it's a world of women, and one guy is left and his monkey. And it's an adventure with a man and his monkey in a world of women. And it breaks you. It's real good. Also from Brian K. Vaughan, Ex Machina is West Wing meets Unbreakable. It's a political comic book that a guy was a superhero and realized he could do more good by being a public servant and runs for office. So it's a West Wing comic book. So those are all Brian K. Vaughan recs. Fun recs that are less dense if you're trying to just get into comics. Ultimate Spider-Man is the most accessible comic of all time.
Okay.
It's loosely the tone of MCU. The MCU took a lot of the tone from the Ultimate Spider-Man run, started in 2000, evolves into Miles. I recommend starting the beginning and then having a great 20-year journey up to Miles. It's a good time. And it's always consistent. There's like 3 arcs I don't like, and it's 180 some issues, including the Miles stuff. So fun-wise, Ultimate Spider-Man, and then one last rec. Give me a genre.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi, there's a weird book from Image called Space Pirates. Okay. And it's a book about these women pirates that got screwed that seek revenge across the cosmos. That basically it's Star Wars meets Thelma and Louise.
Yes, please.
Wow.
Yes, please.
Okay, I like that.
Sci-fi is my genre. Yes.
There you go.
It's real good.
Really good. Is Killer P Guild still going, or did it wrap up? Loves and Brubaker.
I think it's on pause only because of the timing. I know I was reading it. I think I got to issue 5. I know they're doing the criminal run, and I think Killer Be Killed is gonna come back when all that does. But where it left off is like it can't end there. So I think Brubaker still. I mean, it's Brubaker. That's why Winter Soldier's a thing. Like the man has given us a lot of indie and mainstream gold. So it's got to come back.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the MCU at one point. Is there any character that's not in the MCU yet that you'd like to see make the jump somewhere, either big screen, small screen, whatever it is?
Let's see. Sorry, live chat. I don't want to leave comics real quick. I looked at the live chat and I saw 2 very important things. One, Sex Criminals is incredible. Matt Fraction is writing a book that it's almost done. We're concluding. Chip Zdarsky's on art. Chip Zdarsky is probably my favorite writer next to Donny Cates working, but he's art on this book, and it's filled with visual jokes because he's a writer. So his mind works, and it's dirty as fuck. Like most of this book takes place in porn shops and people boning because these people realize that when they fuck, time stops. And so they start robbing banks. When they start robbing the banks, other people that have fucking powers discover them. And then there's a giant world, an underbelly of people with fucking powers. So imagine an NC-17 X-Men and add in comedic jokes. It is a damn good time.
Wow.
Actual fun facts to the live chat. I didn't want to give Jake Sex Criminals on camera because it was for Spider-Man. I did do Scarlet. I did a lot of more adult Saga. I did adult-oriented books, but I didn't want to like literally do a book called Sex Criminals for the children. So I put it in the background of a bunch of frames. It's like Easter eggs, and I bought it for Jake out of my own money. Like I was like, this isn't from Collider. You need to read this. So like, but I didn't put together how weird that probably was. Like Jake and I finished the show, and then I was like, I'm gonna give this handsome man this book called Sex Criminals. And like, personally, I hope he understood.
From me.
Like, this wasn't from Collider. This is from me. And like, I think me and Jake got along great. I'm sure he gets it, but man, in hindsight, that was a choice.
I love that. I love that.
Jake and I had a really good time because we were filming and we were both in work mode. And then I was like, this guy is too like, I know his work so much that I'm afraid of just being like, oh my God, I love Donnie Darko and Nightcrawler and everything else. Like I was afraid of that. So I was like, it's going to get weird if I don't make it weird on purpose. So I like took out my phone and was like, I love Spider-Man so much. I named my cat Spidey Cat. So within minutes on set, I'm like flipping through photos of my cat with Jake. And like in that moment, we were both like, oh, we're both weird. And the interview completely shifted. And it's so that's another one of my favorite moments with that show is sometimes the best way to do an interview is to realize the other person and then appeal to the thing that you guys have in common. Like passion. Jake is made to be an actor. Like, look at that man. His family, he's been in it forever. There's so much that like I will never understand what it was like to be in Donnie Darko at like 15. I can't. So I had to find something to relate to someone who I admire so much with. So I like found the connection, and then it didn't feel like I was talking to someone that I've admired forever. It felt like someone that I admire currently that we're both like, this is a conversation. And that is a lost art in day-to-day life, in the job I do, in most fucking journalism. Like relatability is what humanity is about. And for some reason we decided to put people either above or below us. And that goes to all the politics of the world right now, that relates to all of our financial issues, that relates to how we treat people on the street. if you find something, every single person you meet has something they can teach you that they know something you don't know. And every single person you meet has something in common with you. Finding that shit makes the world better every fucking time. And that's my job.
I love it.
And I love it.
I did the headline that we got out of that whole thing was Robert Adams saying Coy gave Mysterio. That's not wrong. I love it.
In London, I was like, yeah. And the other thing I saw in here was I'm going to ask my favorite image title, and my favorite image title is also theirs. I love Deadly Class. Okay. I was part of a movement to save Deadly Class. It didn't work out, but I fought for Deadly Class season 2 harder than I've fought for most things. That show was amazing. The book is even better. Rick Remender's a genius. I completely agree with Deadly Class love. Check out Deadly Class. It's 80s. It's John Hughes meets John Wick. Wow. Imagine an assassin school instead of a hotel and incorporate 80s teenhood into it.
Yeah.
I have so many books I got to check out now.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is why I cause deficits in bank accounts while also being very excited.
Well, definitely have to check a lot of these out. So I did want to ask the MCU questions. It's a
So sorry. Yeah, what was that? Can you give me that again?
I just want to know if there's a character that you'd like to see make the jump into the MCU that hasn't made it yet, like a more minor character, maybe a B-lister, C-lister, something like that.
Movies, I already said Chamber, so I shouldn't do that again. Okay. I mean, I'm a diehard Ben Reilly fan. I don't think they can do it in modern continuity. I'm a Clone Saga apologist.
Okay.
In my opinion, the Clone Saga was mishandled because it got too popular and they added a bunch of writers. If it was a streamlined saga, if it was a beginning, middle, and end that didn't branch out and then get convoluted, I think it would be regarded as one of the great comic book stories, but it got too many cooks. What I think the Clone Saga represents to me anyway, and this might be me like highfalutin, is Spider-Man's about power and responsibility. He always takes on more responsibility. He's always adding to that, and he never lets himself be free. He never lets go. To me, the clone represents him having a psychotic break and having an existential crisis about a fun version of him. So Ben Reilly goes on a walkabout in the Lost Years. He's got bleach blonde hair. He wears a sweatshirt. He's the fun, freewheeling Scarlet Spider. It's like it's like going on a vacation and you meet your dad and you're like, why is my dad wearing short shorts and like hanging out in the cabanas? Like, you see a different side of this person that's so stern. So I've always saw Peter Parker's Ben Reilly as being the one he wanted to be. That's how I would have ended it.
Wow. I was like, sweet ass. Damn. All right, that's good.
That's the movie I'd make out of the Scarlet Spider saga. I'd make an existential crisis. And you know who'd write the shit out of it? Taylor Sheridan with Denis Villeneuve directing it.
God, yes. Perfect. Brad Gilmore in the house. I say hi, Brad Gilmore, of course. I actually had to lead that question because I'm a big fan of Marvel's Hercules. I've always been a big fan of Hercules, and I so want to see him in there. I know Thor Ragnarok almost kind of possibly ruined it because they kind of made Thor into basically.
It's hard to really make that without it being a Thor character.
Right, exactly. So I'm hoping maybe a TV series or something. I kind of like because he's in Guardians of the Galaxy now.
Right.
So I was wondering if that might go that, or maybe they'll put him in the space side. That's what I'm kind of hoping, my own side. So, what do you think? Any chance we'll get to see him?
I think it's more likely now that we're going so heavy into cosmic and 90s.
Yes.
I think if we're going to get Hercules, it'll be late Phase 4. I think it's possible.
Okay. I don't even care about a movie. I just want to see him in something.
I think if we're gonna get him, it'll be in the next 8 years.
All right.
It'll be, soon, but it'll be in the movies that are about to be included. Not these ones, but
next ones maybe. Okay.
And also She-Hulk would have been my answer up until last year. But now we're getting a She-Hulk show. So Jennifer Walters is brilliant. Oh, Jessica Drew. Jessica Drew needs to be in the goddamn MCU. She's a single mom. She's a superhero by day, mom by night, or vice versa. I love that she's got a convoluted backstory. I love that she takes care of her people as well as I think Jessica Drew, when written well, is one of the most underappreciated characters in comics.
Love that answer. I agree with that one too. Okay.
Okay, so the last 5 minutes of this conversation just went.
I noticed you being so I like sci-fi and Deadly Class sounds good.
Here's the thing about that also. I didn't read comic books very much growing up. I read Archie comics and kind of been around it. Always had friends that were into comics and all of that stuff. Watching the MCU movies and the DCU movies and all of that stuff is really interesting for me as someone who doesn't read comic books because I'm a big fan of lore. And that's what gets me so interested into these movies, because there's so much history and there's so much stuff that you can go into it. I haven't read a lot of comic books, but I have done a lot of Wikipedia searching. I do, like, I love that I can deep dive into something like that, and I love the world of this whole universe, like comic books and graphic novels and everywhere that does. I'm a big time reader. I love it. So I love the passion whenever I hear someone who loves comic books talk about comic books, because for so long they just always seem like a medium that didn't get enough respect. And now coming into this with the MCU movies and everyone kind of getting used to it, you see all of the shows that are on TV. So it's really, really nice to see this up and comings of this sort of comic books, and it's been going on for quite some time, but it's really nice to see it be accepted the way that it
You know
has.
who we need to thank that we don't thank enough? We thank Kevin Feige, because good God, he even gave Hugh Jackman his hair. Like, Kevin Feige did the work, like, for a long time. Kevin Feige did it 10 years before we realized, and then did it another 20 years, and he's spinning so many plates, it's ridiculous. But I think the person we don't give enough credit to is Wesley Snipes.
Ooh.
Oh,
I felt like you were going to say Blade. I'm so glad that you said that.
Wesley Snipes was the guy in the 80s. He was the guy in the 90s. And then he agreed to do a movie that should not work on paper. He was like, yeah, I'll be in this, what is that, vampire comic book movie? That's kind of like Matrix-y before the Matrix. Like, that movie was ahead of its time in that so many things copied it. It gave us the through line into what comic movies are going to be. It took itself so seriously. People were like, I'm watching a comic book movie? Nobody told me. And that, like, got us where we are today. So Wesley Snipes is one of the people that I feel like needs more. Plus, his Twitter is incredible. That man is just as positive as I am. I was at a New Year's party with him once, and I made the bold decision to tell him that some motherfuckers always got to ice skate uphill when someone was trying to be a dick and cutting the line in the bathroom. Like, I quoted the weirdest line in Blade in a normal human situation. And then he turned around to me and, like, chuckled. And I was like, that went the only positive way it could have. Like, I was sort of like, well, that's the best that's going to be. And I was just like, that made my year. Like, I got like that's a weird thing to say. Like, Wesley Snipes is the best. And, like, we don't love him enough.
I would have to agree with that as well. Actually, did Bateman ever tell you his story about interviewing Wesley Snipes?
No.
It's funny. He's got moxie out of him. I love it. He talked about Blade. He started talking about how Blade during the MCU, he was like, Blade might come back. This is before Blade was announced. Yeah. Like, what do you think? What do you think, Wesley? Who do you think should play Blade? He started naming some people. He was like, well, I know who should play Blade. Wesley Snipes. And just the way he said it, like, that's so perfectly Wesley Snipes' answer. I got it.
And that's how he is in life and on red carpets. Like, he's always like the coolest guy in the room. It's jarring. Like, some people are in the room and you're like, well, I can go for second. Like, I can try to be tolerable when that person's here. Like, Danielle, I gotta say, with your love of lore and your focus on fantasy and sci-fi, I talk about Saga a lot, but it's literally only 54 issues to know every single thing about it. Like, there's no side missions. There's no, like, understanding the world. Those 54 issues are the entire world, and it's a sci-fi romance that is genre redefining.
We're both going to do it now. I've been wanting to do Saga for a while. I just hadn't. So I'm going to definitely buy it now and go for it.
Change my life.
All right. Absolutely. Real quick, we do have some super chats. I want to get there before they disappear. Brendan Buckingham, favorite DC Comics writer?
Controversial. Tom King.
Tom King.
I like his Batman. His Strange Adventures is blowing my mind. His Mr. Miracle really helped me through dark times. Mr. Miracle is another highly recommended book. It's 12 issues. It is it's a golden age character that should be cheesy. He's an escape artist. So this is how cheesy that character can be. His power is that he's an escape artist and his name is Scott Free. Somehow, Tom King made this the most relatable comic I've ever read, to the point where I was reading it in public and didn't realize I was crying until my face was wet. Like, I was like in this comic in public. I was in a coffee shop just like, what have I done? Why? And that's a character named Scott Free. What he's trying to escape in this book is life. He's suicidal. And it's Looney Tunes in its hijinks, and This Is Us in its depth, and it shouldn't work, and it's perfect.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
So Tom King is my guy. Scott Snyder's also incredible. He was the writer right before Tom King on Batman. I'm a big Batman guy, so I'm a big fan of those two. Gail Simone is everywhere, but Gail Simone I'm a huge fan of wherever she's writing. Yeah, those are probably my top 3.
Kelsey, actually, the big Kelsey in our background helping us out. Thank you so much, Kelsey, for helping us out as always. She's a big Tom King fan. So
yes,
here we go.
I gave Jake a bunch of Tom King work, including Mr. Miracle, and I was like raving about how great this writer was. And I had an easier time talking to Jake Gyllenhaal than when I met the real Tom King. I was at Comic-Con and Tom King came over to me to thank me for the episode with Jake, and like to hear right. Wow. So he approached me, and I was like, "Yeah, welcome." And like, it was about my work. Like, he was literally like, he was saying a nice thing. It's so easy to say thank you, but since he's written so many of my favorite comics, I was like, "But you invent gods in your mind. How do you speak to me?" And like, I struggled. But then, so me and Tom King are talking about Jake and Mr. Miracle and about like his pathos and Batman, and then he introduces me to Frank Miller. And then Frank Miller's talking to us, and we're talking about the difference in writing Batman versus Superman, how they differ, what like high and low. And then Williamson comes over, who's writing The Flash at the time. So I'm talking to like one of the great comic writers of all time, one of the current great comic writers, and the guy that's writing an incredible Flash run. Just like, I don't know how to start or leave this, but I'm going to exist right here and really appreciate it.
It's tough to do, but that man, when you have those moments.
I miss Comic-Con so much. This week, 5 years ago, was Deadpool Hall H.
Haskell 420, give me Phase 4 What If films and Marvel 2099 phase.
Ooh, okay. Phase 4 What If. I would do What If they succeeded with the super soldier serum? Like in other elements, like I want to like imagine like the military, like everyone having powers. It's kind of like a Marvel's story.
Right.
I would do a What If the Spider-Verse was live action? Because I want Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and freaking Tobey Maguire in a movie. God damn it. I would do What If we could say mutant earlier. So if we had Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch be canon, because they're going to be retroactively making it happen. But what if mutants were part of the beginning? What if X-Men were from Phase 1? What if Hawkeye died instead of Scarlet Witch?
Ooh.
Those are some ones. And then I don't know how to do a Spider-Man 2099 except for fully supporting it. Because the Miguel O'Hara stuff is perfect. I wouldn't change anything. X-Men 2099 is very much a piece of its time. I'd probably change some of that. Some of those books hold up great. Some of them you're like, so I guess this was in print. Like, it's just, and like, no disrespect to the writers, but they were throwing so many things out at once. Statistically, some of it's garbage.
Right.
So 2099, I'd focus on like the greatest hits. Like now that's what I call 2099.
Perfect. All right. That Kid 21 says, Coy, I picked up the Saga full compendium because we recommended it to everyone. And now I'm mad. When will this hiatus end? Oh boy.
It's funny, I just saw Coy, and then all caps, when would this hiatus end? I didn't even need the middle two sentences to know his rage, because I, too, am in hiatus, and I, too, type in all caps. I'm not kidding. My phone spell checks hiatus to caps because of Saga. Not a joke. I talk about how upset I am about hiatus so much my phone's like,
okay.
So yeah, I feel you. I'm with you. Brian K. Vaughan has liked a couple things of mine. We don't follow each other for probably the safety of Brian K. Vaughan, because I'd always be like the scene in Bruce Almighty is just me typing when his hiatus over. Like, it's all of the emails that Bruce got as God, but it's just me sending Brian K. Vaughan messages about hiatus. So it's probably for the best. I've never met Brian K. Vaughan, but considering the amount of love and moments of pure happiness he's given me, I worry. Frankly, I worry. If that's how Tom King is, I don't know what Brian K. Vaughan would do to me.
Fair enough.
But yes, hiatus is far too long. I don't know more than you do, but it's killing me, and I'm so glad I could give you that strife.
Then it goes again. Coy, do you read any manga series?
I only don't because I read so many comics. A lot of people, I'm sure you guys know John Getz, one of my favorite folk on the internet space. He's a fantastic one. He's one of my favorite people in the tier that suggests content for me to consume because he's got me watching My Hero Academia, which I'd always wanted to but never made time for. And he has me watching or playing the video game that had just got a sequel, The Last of Us. I hadn't touched a non-Spider-Man video game since 2005. I had a PS2 that I played the Spider-Man game on, and Ultimate Spider-Man and Tony Hawk, and like that era. Didn't touch a PS3. Bought a PS4 just for Spider-Man. Had Spider-Man, Deadpool, and then borrowed Arkham, and then actually you guys might know Joey Rasul. Joey Rasul was at Collider, great man. He got me Uncharted, The Last of Us, and the game. God damn it! It's got a kid that like you can be a good guy or a bad guy depending on the actions you take.
Sounds like Knights of the Old Republic, but
no, it's like graffiti and stuff. Anyway, he got me 3 games that sat unopened because I don't have time to like add another hobby. So John Getz had me play The Last of Us because I owned it. He's like, that's what I want. I want you to review the first 3 hours of gameplay of The Last of Us. And like, infamous, thank you, live chat. So those are the 3 games I got that I didn't play. So now I'm finally playing The Last of Us because of work, because all I do is work. So unfortunately, I can't start manga because then I fear my 4 hours I get of sleep will be less. Out of just respect to everyone that knows me, like this is me in a manic state of not sleeping now. If we add to that, frankly, I'm worried for Los Angeles.
Fair enough. Okay, Trash Panda has us. Which comic characters would your Quirky Mercs members be? Ooh, I like that.
That's a good one.
Bibbs, now this sounds like a jab, but it's love because I love this character, would be Porcupine Man.
I totally get that.
Because he's funny, he's loving, he's smart, and people sleep on him. Bibbs is one of the best players in the game that's still the underdog so often. Like, he's lost 3 matches, and people are still like, I don't know, those 3 matches. He's Porcupine Man. Okay. It's a weird take, but Brendan Meyer's like Jubilee. Young, jubilant, spunky, smart, a leader, capable. Yeah, I think he, or like either Jubilee or Kitty Pryde. Like he's a Jubilee or Kitty Pryde type.
Okay.
Mara is definitely a Jean Grey intellectual. Like will be playing chess while talking to you just casually. She's so smart it's intimidating, but like still lovely.
Nice.
Let's see. Kevin Smith is Kevin Smith.
Silent Bob.
Kevin Smith made Stan Lee's cameo in Mallrats, the first MCU film in my heart, because then in Captain Marvel, that script is canon. So Kevin Smith is Kevin Smith.
There you go.
There we go.
The real rejects are, it's not Marvel, it's DC, but Blue Beetle and Booster Gold.
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes. That is perfect.
This one is interesting because it's a more obscure character because he's not quite Wolverine, but Tim Franco is Dakin, I think.
Okay.
Like he's got like stuff to prove, but he's nice, but you don't know which way it's gonna go. Like if there was anyone on my team I could have turned heel, it would have been Tim Franco, but he's not a heel because he's such a nice guy. I feel like Dakin is like that. You're like, I guess he's not nice, but he's actually really nice.
I like
that. Let's see. Haley is Haley's Squirrel Girl. Like spunky, really quippy, really smart. Could beat up Dr. Doom.
Actually, real quick, AJ actually says that Perry would be a Squirrel Girl because she could take photos. I said, well, people think that's funny. It's kind of terrifying.
But that's what I think Haley is, and I'm waiting on Perry because she's also very Kitty Pryde.
Okay, I can see that too. Okay, I can see that.
So I'm trying to think of someone because I already used Kitty Pryde-ish, but I feel like Perry's very much like she could lead she's very much Joss Whedon's astonishing X-Men Kitty Pryde.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's her, and I do agree, Chris Adams. She-Hulk is definitely a vibe. I've only seen Perry angry once.
Very true.
I don't want to see it twice.
Ooh. Okay.
And then let's see. Scrimshaw is such a wise man.
He really is.
Like he's so like when Magneto's good.
Okay.
Like when he's like Joseph, when he's like a purveyor of wisdom and calm, peace, because you have to be overly exaggerated to make Magneto good. Xavier's too easy. Yeah. When you're going like, I don't know if I should trust him because they're so wise. Scrimshaw.
That is pretty perfect, pretty spot on.
Was that my fan casting? I think we got everybody.
You got it. Yeah, that's perfect then. All right. Well, you know what, guys? We've already been throwing a lot of chat. We usually do chat questions later, but they've been coming up so well. We will be getting into this or that next. So think about your questions, and then we'll go back into the chat questions, either Streamlabs or Super Chat. Of course, we'll always take priority. But until then, first, we're going to play this or that. And if you've ever seen the show, which most of you have, I'll be giving Coy 2 options, or maybe 3, depending on what's going on. And he can either ask for clarification, or he can just go ahead and go nuts, and he can expand it if he wants, or he can be quick and dirty if he wants.
I've done none of this so far. I've definitely not expounded. I've given you very concise, borderline rude answers. I've been like, ooh, how about yes, no, please? Let's move along.
Exactly. Well, some of them will be written for him. Some of them are written for everybody every week that we do. So without further ado, we'll start with the one we always start on this podcast. We are an Action Army podcast. We were all torn in asunder when Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy are split in 2. So we just got to know: are you Team Guy or Team Traitor?
There's only one right answer.
Yes, sir.
I got a lot of love for both these gents. I'm like, I might be, you know what? I gotta go Team Action. I gotta go both of them. They're both great.
That's a good answer.
I can't begin to choose your favorite child. I love them both very much.
All right. We actually, by this does it wisely. We do like them.
They're 2 of my favorite people in the internet space, and I literally live on the internet, so that is saying a lot. Every time I work with either one of them, it is always an absolute pleasure. They're such professionals. They take their jobs so seriously. I respect the hell out of them. They work so hard, and that's so important to me, especially on the internet where people are like, I just film my face and talk, and people watch. Like, fuck that. They do their job. And they also are kind and compassionate even when they're playing heels. So I got a lot of love for those gents. So the real answer is both of them. The fake answer is both of them.
Everybody should watch the Action Movie Anatomy that Coy was on for Spidey. That was a very good, and Robert Adams. I think a ton of fanatics were there too. I think during that episode.
Yeah, I met those guys then.
So yes, go back and watch. That's one of my favorite Action Movie Anatomies episode. That's true. Mal cowed us, but I guess we'll let it slide.
I just said it was nice to meet you seconds ago.
I believe that is the first Team Action answer that we have ever received for this or that. So
I would go with that. All right. Let's see. Singles or teams of the Showdown?
Teams, because I really like seeing people's weaknesses augmented by their compatriot. I love teamwork, and I love when you can rely on somebody else. I like when you can be like, I know this, and there's just something a little bit more exciting about relying on someone else. Knowing stuff is great, but knowing your person knows stuff, and knowing you can go in united is really special. And that's one of the unique things about the Schmodown is the team format. There's never teams in movie fights. There's never teams in bar trivia unless it's a team. But there's something really special about the team aspect of Schmodown.
I do like that as well. Here you go. Just so you know, he is okay. It's his favorite AMA because of you. So there you go. He's like,
okay, good. We're cool.
All right. Peter Parker.
The Cinefanatics were almost my first ever write-ins for the draft. Let the record show. When I told them that they were on the list, I wasn't kidding, and I stand by that. They are great dudes.
They are great dudes. Big friends. We're friends with them.
They're Texas forever. Woo woo.
Peter Parker or Miles Morales?
Peanut butter or chocolate? Apples or bananas? I love fruits and I love desserts.
Apples and bananas.
I'm obsessed with peanut butter and chocolate, and I thought that was more common, and then I just realized what a weird thing to say. I put Hershey's in the freezer, and then I break them off and scoop them into peanut butter and eat them as little sandwiches. Which is probably okay. Good. In my brain, I was like, "Is that not the daily occurrence of most of America?" And then I was like, "Oh wait, apples and bananas is an expression." I'm gonna go Peter. But because without Peter, Miles couldn't exist, that's the easy answer. The hard answer is Peter has gone through so much so that Miles could exist. Like, Peter had to crawl so Miles could run. And I've grown up with Peter Parker, so it would be a disservice to like not acknowledge how great Miles is as a character, how important he is. I'd argue Miles Morales is more important right now. He helps people understand that anyone can wear the mask. He helps an entire generation of people see a character that looks like them, or see a character that doesn't look like them, that is normalized, which is so important. He helps the world go like, oh, an African-American or Afro-Latino Spider-Man, that's Spider-Man. Like, that is the most important thing in comic books right now, is us fixing the 60s being so white. Like, we're making moves. So I don't want to disparage by saying Peter, but like, I learned to read with Peter Parker. So there's no version of me that's going to be like, in good conscience, be like, well, those 30 years didn't matter.
Right.
So like, I'm going Peter, but only because it's between them two, because Miles is so impossibly important.
Yeah,
that's actually, I can't have asked for a better answer than that, to be honest with you. By the way, Robert Adams, I guess you just let him know that you were on the short list. He was on your short list because he is very excited about that. He's saying he might pass out now. That made his night. Okay, good.
Hell yeah. Dude, I watch very few after shows because, again, I don't have a lot of time, but I always, now admittedly I scroll, but because I'm a narcissist, I see when you're talking about me, but I do watch the Cinefanatics after show, and I usually leave a little like pithy comment.
Yes.
So I try to watch as many after shows as I can, and they are one I always look for.
nice.
Yeah, so much love to the Adams.
We do. We love them here too. So, all right. How about Scorpion or Sub-Zero?
The coolness factor, pun intended, but the catchphrase of "get over here" is what I think of whenever I think Mortal Kombat. So I think Sub-Zero is like the badass, but like "get over here" is so iconic. I'm giving it to Scorpion.
I can't.
Mortal Kombat.
I can't wait for that movie.
Me
Holy
too.
shit, I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so pumped for that movie. That's the one video game that I played a lot, other than like Nintendo games. So I still love the first Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat, the second one. I'm still kind of a fan of it. So I'm super pumped for this movie. Okay.
I know a couple of things about the movie that I can't talk about, but is going to be real, real good, and it's really true to the comic book. I mean, the video game. I'm so used to comics. It's so true to the video game. They like, it's going to be good.
I can't wait. That's awesome. All right. Poutine or loaded fries?
Loaded fries, but because there is a beverage called poachine that is my favorite drink in the world. It is my favorite it's an alcoholic beverage, but even if it wasn't alcoholic, the taste of it makes me so happy that sometimes when I hear poutine and it's not this drink, I'm enraged. So it's not the food's fault, but like, imagine if there was like stubbing your toe was called like quesadilla, and like you're like, but I wanted to eat a goddamn quesadilla. It's poachine is Gaelic for of the mountains. And in Ireland, they distill from potatoes instead of corn and make a moonshine that is actually the name Mountain Dew. Like, Mountain Dew is named after poachine, which is dew of the mountains, which is potato distilled moonshine that is between 120 and 160 proof and somehow tastes like heaven.
Damn.
So like, at 151 I do drink, but only as like, oh good God, I live in 2020. Like 151 is like, I've accepted defeat and I don't want tomorrow. This is all of the strength of 151, but you can sip it.
Nice.
And it's illegal in Ireland, but legal in California if you know where to look.
Wow. That's
Poachine is my favorite beverage on the planet. So no disrespect to poachine, but you keep fucking me up. I once quested 7 miles across the playa at Burning Man. I go to Burning Man, I'm obsessed. Because I heard there was poachine. And I kept hearing that it was poachine. And then I got there and it was not a liquid that I was just, so I have a vendetta.
That's right. I will say, Robert, you have changed. Robert Adams was a poutine guy, but now that you said that and he likes you, he'll change the loaded fries as well.
Yes.
That's a big deal. You don't know how long he's been
I'm honored.
that.
I have a quick one for you, Coy. I know that you're into craft beer. I don't know for sure what your favorite flavors or anything like that is. So quick this or that. IPA, or a saison?
Saison.
Yeah.
I actually liked IPAs when they were first. I liked them before they were cool. I liked them when IPAs were starting because they tasted less burnt. I find the more we lean into this IPA fad, the more it just tastes like I'm drinking Starbucks. And I always think Starbucks tastes like burnt coffee. Like, I don't know how Starbucks is popular, much less expensive, because it's like worse than gas station coffee. It's like, I would like to spend $7 on less coffee that sat in the pot that tastes like someone was mad at me. And to me, the IPA movement is turning into that. It's not there yet, but I've had some IPAs where I'm like, are you trying to punch me in the tongue? Why did I offend you, IPA? So just as broad strokes, I tend to lean more blonde stouts, that direction. So.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry, Robert. You're right. I kind of forgot. You were the first one to ask the poutine or loaded fries question. That's why we ask it now.
The man wants
Robert Adams credit where credit is due. We actually had another one in here before I jumped to my next one. I liked Gilberto Campa, The Town or The Departed.
Dude, this is almost as hard as Peter Miles. Holy shit. Okay, so I'm from Boston. And when you're from Boston, there's either a I've never been to Boston mentality, or there's so much pride that you want a tattoo. I'm of the latter. I've got a tattoo idea because I have so much hometown pride. Boston is so much a part of who I am, and I'm so proud of my heritage. That said, The Departed is very much a cinematic take on Boston. The Town feels like you're actually in Boston. So I loved The Departed. It came out the year I graduated. It came out like the month I graduated. It's got a lot of nostalgia for me. It's got one of my favorite Marky Mark performances. I'm a giant Marky Mark fan. I actually boxed with Mickey Ward, who Mark Wahlberg played in The Fighter. So Mark Wahlberg became a hero of mine anew. So like The Departed, very important to me. Spidey is right in the camera. But The Town feels like the town.
Boston. Yeah,
like it's like
Boston.
when you're in Dorchester, like when you're in Roxbury, when you're in Malden, when you're in Lynn City of Sin, like The Town is like, I might get stabbed, but I deserved it for walking down here by myself at 2 a.m. Like The Town has an authenticity to it that is so unique. And I really like that Martin Scorsese was able to capture Boston, but you can feel Ben Affleck growing up there in every frame. And he also was able to make a modern day Heat while also making a love letter to his city.
Yeah.
The Town is one of my few 5-star films. I'm giving it to The Town.
I grew up in Albany, but so I go to Boston a lot, and I agree 100% with that. So, big time.
And I'm from Lowell, so I'm from like what Boston pretends isn't real. Like I'm from like, oh, we're really sorry about them. They're from Lowell. Like it's darkness. So yeah, The Town helped me.
Perfect. And yeah, I'll don't you tell me what to do, Robert. I'll keep highlighting all your comments if I want to, because this is my damn show. Well, it's our show, but you know what I mean.
Oh, I want to address the live chat because someone, guys, I've been very energetic in this show, and this has been an incredible distraction. I'm not leaving. But Tasty Waffle just asked, I saw your tweet, Coy, everything all right? I didn't want to ignore that. A friend of mine passed away, and I found out right before the show. But I've never canceled on a show, and this has been a long time planned, and I thought this would be a good distraction, and it has been. I've had so much fun. I've needed this and appreciated this, so I'm not okay, but I'm also okay right now. I lost a friend right before the show, or I found out right before the show, and that sucks. But again, like, it's really cool that we live in a time that connecting is such an option that I don't even know you guys in real life. We've met twice. Yeah. But like, because of the internet, we're super connected. And because of the Action Army, I know a lot of Action Army folk as well as I know people in real life because of just the amount we connect. So I thought it was really important to like be with people instead of be alone. So I appreciate all the love with the tweet. And I feel bad because I was like, I'm going to tweet that I need to hug people and then disappear for 2 hours. But like, know that I'm here to be connected, and I appreciate all the concern and much love back to the chat. And I'm very glad to be here.
Much love, and thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, well, a few more questions. I'll go back into the fun for you a little bit, hopefully. This one's for me because I brought it up earlier. Thor or Hercules? Please be on my side.
Okay. Before Donnie Cates' run, I would have been with you. Have you read Donny Cates' Thor?
I have not. I do want to read. I have heard great things about it. I'm gonna go into it.
I read it out loud like an actual insane person. I sit and I say the words to feel them anew. It's that good. So I gotta go Thor because I've never done that. That's insane.
Fair enough. Okay, I do love this. Okay, let's see. I'm looking forward to more Tenet or Dune.
Ooh.
Good God, these are good. Dune has the single most attractive cast I've ever seen assembled.
Ever.
Men, women, everyone in it is like, hello, I'm sex. I think it's the most attractive cast since A Knight's Tale, which was definitely like the sexual awakening. A Knight's Tale is just like, how is that movie so hot? Like, even Shannon Sossman's handmaiden is like, yo. And then like Chaucer is so attractive in his verbose language, and Alan Tudyk is so attractive in his like smarmy snark, and then Heath Ledger is Heath Ledger. And there's even like a very like attractiveness to like the rotund buoyancy of that Volstagg-esque, you know, like everyone in it's just got it's got big dick energy for days.
The whole movie.
And like, I feel like Dune is going to be that, but serious. And it's the weirdest answer, but like, I feel like Dune is big dick energy, the modern day sci-fi thriller with one of the best directors working with the cast of a lifetime. Yeah. So like, I can't believe I'm voting against Chris Nolan, especially because it might be I heard I heard a conspiracy theory that it's an Inception sequel, and I was like, sure. But then I heard that with Nikki, what's her name?
Oh God.
The actress's name.
I don't know down.
You're talking about.
I heard Robert Pattinson and her are the daughter and son of Leo. And
I did not hear that.
And then I was suddenly like, wait, am I about to be rocked? So like, if that's the movie, I can't know yet. But that's a cool idea. But Dune is sex. So I go Dune.
Elizabeth Debicki.
Also, like, it's a movie that has like sex history. Like the cast of that movie, every time they've made it is like, and they somehow keep upping their game. So, yeah, I really, the bar is high, and frankly, we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, that's the one I'm looking forward to the most for a long time. Actually, the one, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, or Tom Holland.
Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, the Spider-Man question.
The Spider-Man question.
Let's go with. Okay. It's an answer with caveat.
Go ahead.
Tom Holland is Peter Parker and Spider-Man. That's the generic answer. Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man. That's like, sorry, the other way around. Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, Tobey. That's the answer since they cast Tom Holland. But when I had the honor of meeting Tom Holland, so this is a biased answer because of work. When I looked at him, I didn't see Tom Holland. I saw Spider-Man, and I'm a professional, so it's my job not to do that. When I saw Jake Gyllenhaal, I was like, noted thespian Jake Gyllenhaal, who I admire. I didn't go like grown-up Donnie Darko. Like, I know actors are doing their work. I respect the work, the process, but I saw Spider-Man, and it was like my childhood was like, you're standing in the room with Spider-Man, and it was a different vibe just because he embodies the character so much. Yeah. So, like, with the bias involved, I met Spider-Man. So I got to go Tom Holland.
I like that answer. I love that answer. Okay. Let's see. It's a Star Wars one because I love Star Wars. Are you looking forward more to the Obi-Wan series or the Cassian Andor series?
I've been wanting an Obi-Wan series since the prequel trilogy because I feel like I'm a giant Ewan McGregor fan. Trainspotting is one of my favorite movies. Oh, yeah. I feel like now is the time because we literally waited long enough that he's the right age.
Yeah.
And because, like, one of the things that I like about Star Wars is that everyone can be good. Like, it's a movie about the underdog, and that's what I don't like about the newest one. Is they like undermined the everyman quality by being like, you better have fancy blood. Like they turned it into the fucking caste system. Anyway, that's another conversation. But Obi-Wan I saw as like the Hagrid, like he like got to tell someone like, and you too are important. So he's got this really cool mentor quality that we've not really gotten to see from Ewan because we got it so well with Alec Guinness. Mm-hmm. So I'd really like to see him go from Padawan to Jedi Knight with a show long form with Ewan McGregor. So for me, it's Ewan McGregor by a decent margin because of my love for Ewan. And the beautiful metaphor of Star Wars was always religious allegory in the visuals, Eastern sensibility in the fighting, and Western sensibility in the tone of the films. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen that in a while.
That's true.
We had it like briefly in the chamber scene. I thought that was a beautiful blend of theology, Eastern and Western. I thought that really captured it. I thought in Force Awakens, we had a few moments where those tones were hit. I thought thematically, they really touched on it with the burning of tomes and, you know, destroying your gods. But we haven't seen it except for as like, we're going to do this later. Like they keep being like, that's what's coming. And I love JJ. Like I love him to death. But then he was like, no, we're not. So I'd really like if the Obi-Wan show is, we finally realized, and like they lean into it. You know what I mean? I want to see a blend of theology, Western and Eastern, iconography, sensibility, and delivery.
Fair. I like that. I like that a lot.
I do too, yeah.
And on that, I can't ask a better one than that. So that will end this or that. So thank you very much for playing along. And let's move on now. We're going to get your questions in, Streamlabs, Super Chats, get them in the chat itself. We'll get through everything as we do it. And while you were thinking of some more power, you've been asking questions all night. So why don't just keep them going? While Kelsey looks for them. We will plug the show, right, Danny? Want to plug the show?
Tasty Waffle in the chat over here just said, I definitely won't be able to watch Dune without thinking of Coy. As long as you think of me as Jeff Goldblum.
Nice, very nice.
Or my new shower promo, which was definitely a choice.
That was you and John Humphrey together was a
dude. Humphrey, man, like he's so funny. That clip he sent me is like 5 minutes. It's all gold. I watched it multiple times. Like I'd already sent them the email with the promo, and I kept being like, bah! Like it's so funny. Like he's so good. John is brilliant. Greg is my favorite live entrance guy. And John is my favorite digital entrance guy. And I'm so proud of my rejects. Like they're exactly who I recruited. They're incredible. And like when I sent him that promo of me in the shower, he just ran with it. Like I didn't give him any notes. I just got back that gold. And like it's so good.
Very nice. Oh, and I've been pushing Eric Nerderchronic to have a Patreon level on SCN where we have like the cut scenes, the ones that didn't make the promo, because there's so much.
That's a great idea.
I'd love to see some of that stuff. He keeps talking about the Kaiser stuff and Gucci stuff. It's all gold, and we want to see it. We want to see
it. After Dune comes out, I'll send Nerd Chronic the full vertical shot of that.
Love it.
Patreon only. Maybe that's my Patreon. That just turns into an OnlyFans.
Patreon OnlyFans real quick. All right, guys.
Christian.
While getting those questions in, we'll announce next week's Chilled action. We just signed the dotted line for next week's Chill. And there we go. Eric Zipper will be on Chilled Action next week. We had him on Call Live to break down the Intergeekdom tournament way back when, a couple weeks ago now, but he's going to be on Chilled Action next week. We're really looking forward to that show. That should be great. Other shows we got looking forward to, we got a Call Live, of course, every Sunday, and Schmobates, of course, on Wednesday. The first match after the tournament was decided. When Ben the Boss Bateman defeated William the Beast Bibiani to hold that belt. Well, it's time to start the next season. And the first match has been declared. I guess I can probably announce that, I think.
Maybe. I don't. Yeah, sure.
Because she don't have a co-host yet. Alex is working on getting a co-host. But the match is Alan Smithy, Action Army General. Action Army, the director. # call sign, the director, is going to go up against me. It's me. It's me. It's PLD.
PLD!
My first time on Schmobates since before I was on it once back when it was like a segment on Call Live before it became its own full show. So I am looking forward to that, and I hope you'll be there for that. You will try. You will try. Anyway, that's our shows plugged for this week.
Yeah. So really quickly before we move on, so anyone who's a fan of this channel or who has been watching this channel for a while has noticed that we've done a few little changes in some of our shows. So we've updated the way that we're doing reactions, and we've updated, and we're slowly kind of revamping the way that we're doing Call Live as well. Now, Paul and I are really big fans of the format that we have here on Chill to Action, but we did kind of want to shoot out a little not incentive. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but y'all, anyone in the chat, anyone who has been hanging out with us, if there's anything that you think that you would like to see on Chill to Action, either a new segment or even if there's guests that you can think of, anything that you would like to see that you think would help improve the show in any sort of way, let us know. We're kind of just curious to see if there's anything out there that people have ideas with. Maybe we'll take them on. We don't know.
You reserve the right to say absolutely not.
Yes.
But you never know. We love people. So
yeah. So,
Can I answer 2 questions from the live chat before we do the other questions?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Camshaft asked if anybody had seen Andrew Garfield in Never Let Me Go, and I gotta plug that movie because it's incredible. Andrew Garfield is so good in that movie; it will break you. It is heart wrenching. It is incredible. I met.
Ooh. I don't know if he knows that we can't hear him. If you can,
I can't hear you. I'm not sure.
Blah blah blah. Blah, blah.
Sure.
Better.
Am I back?
You're back. You're back. You're back.
Never Let Me Go. Someone said, have you seen Andrew Garfield in Never Let Me Go? And I wanted to plug that movie because it is brilliant and heart-wrenching, and it's very hard that Andrew Garfield never got the writing he deserved as Spider-Man, especially after a movie like Never Let Me Go. So Camshaft wanted to plug that, and I completely agree. And then there was one more. Nat Vu said they first became a fan of mine when I came out to Childish Gambino's Not Going Back, and they wanted to talk about music, and I wanted to thank them because I never get to talk about music because I do so much about movies and comics and stuff. And I'm such a big Childish Gambino fan, and like his stuff with Chance, like favorite song, and his samples that he's done lately on like other spots, and his evolution as an artist is so incredible. Like his newest album, 315, is such an experimental journey through what music can even be, and we've had so many good different sounds. And like Kawaii is this love letter to love, while it's a heartbreak album. Like it's a breakup album that's a love letter to love, and I just feel like people don't look into the glory that is Childish Gambino enough. So I could talk about music all day, but he asked about Childish, so I wanted to plug some Childish. Check out Kawaii, check out Camp, check out his newest album, 315. The dude is too talented at any one thing he does, and he does it all. Like his stand-up's too good, his writing's too good, his acting's too funny, his music is too incredible. Like it's Mozart. We're living in the age of a Mozart. We're gonna look back in 100 years, Donald Glover is our generation's Mozart, and he has slept on somehow.
I love it. I love it. All right.
It's the package Kanye West wishes he could be.
Oh, Donald Glover is exactly who Kanye West is to Kanye West.
Yes.
Like Kanye West wakes up, looks in the mirror, and what is looking back at him is what Donald Glover actually is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's get into the rest of the chat questions. Then that's right. We're good with the plugging of the network.
Oh, yeah, we're good. Let's get into those questions. Yo.
All right, Eric Portney. Coy, do you play any tabletop role-playing games?
A bunch of my friends do. The people I go to Burning Man with do. It's another one of those fandoms like manga that is overwhelmingly big. The only tabletop game I play is King's Cup, which is booze and cards. I like puzzles, which is maybe lamer.
I love puzzles.
Like, I really like sitting down with a good album of either ambient music, white noise, an album I love, or an audiobook. Any one of those soundscapes and doing a puzzle drops my heart rate about 10 BPMs. Like, it puts me into a better place.
I have a table in my room specifically for doing puzzles.
Puzzles are where it's at. They're so soothing and calming and victorious. They give you little dopamine. Like you're like, ooh, did it. Like, they're little like, good for you. They're so, like, rewarding.
Yeah.
Big puzzle man.
Me too. I love that. This will turn into a puzzle podcast really quickly also.
How boring would it be to watch two people not together doing separate puzzles? That's like worse than golf.
Worse than golf. Well, that's hard to do. As far as I'm concerned.
No, but imagine doing that and having a good conversation between it. I think that would be a fun show.
Oh, it's just a fascinating lesson in like what content is. Like, tell someone 5 years ago we're going to use all of our technology to show videos of people doing puzzles and talking. Like, it's an actual show. It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
That's great. We do have some Streamlabs we'll get to before they go. Brandon Buck donated. Thank you, Brandon. Do you think we will ever see a live-action DC versus Marvel movie?
No. Warner Brothers and Disney are not likely to ever be like, I would like only some of that money. I feel like they'd both be like the rights issues. And I think the fans have done a lot of that because when comics weren't such mainstream pieces of culture, there was less animosity because there was less voices. Comic fans have always been very aggressive. But now that there's more of them and the internet, it's going to be much harder for an amalgam universe. It's going to be much harder for them to ever team up because the DC Marvel Bloods Crips thing wasn't like that as bad until the internet was like, we hate the other one for no reason. And that's one of the reasons I always talk about like DC as much as I can, because I'm like, that isn't a real rivalry. So I don't think like Marvel never kicked DC's dog, and like DC never stole mail from Marvel's mailbox. Like, they're cool. Like Jeff Johns and Kevin Feige are friends.
Right.
A lot of actors are in both for a reason. So the fans, I think, have made that more of an impossibility. And then on top of that, lawyers.
Oh, yeah, that was it too, unfortunately. All right, fine. Michael K, a very generous donation. Michael, thank you very much. Michael K says, so far, this has been a great episode of Chill to Action. I don't really have a question. Just want to show some love for one of my favorite internet personalities and a fantastic manager in the new era of the Showdown.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you supporting these guys because they do good stuff.
Thank you so much. That's all the stream up you got. So, Kelsey, if you were ready, you can start throwing some questions up on there. Alan Smithy, my mortal enemy right now, just for this week. Coke or Pepsi?
Coffee.
Yes.
Fair enough.
If I can say team action, then I can say coffee.
I'll go with that. We'll go with that. All right.
Both of them are used for toilet cleaners, so I fear putting either of them in my body. Coffee, on the other hand, is intravenous. Like, I fucking live it.
All right. Coy, I'm partial to the Neil Adams / Dennis O'Neil run of Batman and Detective. Anything else you would recommend based on that, Denny?
There's a run right now called Batman's Grave that is very much a detective-based story. One of the things I liked about Neil Adams was the detective element to it. Right now, Batman's Grave is incredible, and it's Brian Hitch art who did the Ultimate, so it's really pretty, and it's a very intellectual, like, it's Batman solving shit with his mind. And I'd also recommend, you probably read it, but The Long Halloween is an incredible, it's not Neil Adams, but like I'd say it's more in that direction.
Yeah, I agree with that. Good question there. Okay. Coy, share with us what persevering through 2020 has been like. A lot of us are struggling too.
Equal parts optimism and delusion. I know that I'm striving to be better every single day so that when I'm out of this, I'm better. I'm learning skills. Like I picked up boxing again, which I hadn't done in years. I'm learning how to box for the first time since, like, I was boxing when I was 16 and 17 and I didn't do it again. So it's been almost as long since I was born. Like, I'm turning 32 in September. So the halfway point of my life was the last time I did it. So it's a very, like, this old dog is like, that's what happens. So it's been really cool to like relearn a skill. So what I try to do is every day I try to be 10% better. I'm really OCD. I don't talk about it a lot because I don't want to seem like someone who leans into their foibles, but I also want people to relate that I'm not like, people think I'm the happiest guy on the internet and people think I'm this force of positivity, which is the goal. And I want to be that for everyone, but I've got really bad OCD. I have this thing where I literally try to be 10% better every day to the point where I try to either run 10% faster, or if I fail to do that, 10% farther, and I've got to hit it or I don't sleep well. I try to read 10% of a book every day. I try to read 10 comics every day. Like, it's actual compulsive stuff, or I don't rest. and that's not healthy. But I think mental health isn't talked about enough, so I've been more open to it. The more long form conversations like this I have, the more I want people to know that, like, yes, I'm very positive. Yes, I'm very optimistic, but I have really bad days too. And there are days that I can't do much. Like next week, I was planning on taking a week off because I'm moving. So I was planning on taking a week off my video show to allow myself to move. Now I've lost a friend, and I'm moving, and the world's ending, and I realize the world is way more backwards than we thought, and I've lost respect for more of humanity than I thought possible. So like it does stack up on me like anyone else, but if I start letting those cracks show, then when people need me to be strong and they turn to me for that strength and I'm not there, I don't want to be that. So sometimes I just opt out. I always want to be the force of positivity. I always want to be someone that people can rely on. And instead of coming at it half-assed, like there was a moment I was like, I can't do this show. Like I just lost a friend. But then I realized I need this, and I can be here, and I can be the force of positivity people think I am. But if I can't, I won't. And that's when I kind of like just opt out. I tag out. Like I took a week off from Instagram when I made a statement in a live that there was a lot of looting going on during the riots in the beginning because there were plants. Like they weren't even the fucking like people protesting. Like rioters were separate, and I didn't know that, and I misspoke because I didn't know enough. I wasn't informed enough. And there was a lot of buildings broken into on Melrose, and a lot of shops that mean a lot to me as a human. A lot of mom and pop places that aren't insured the right way. A lot of places that are multi-generation, like they've worked their whole lives. Those businesses might not open up. And I literally said, hey, I support the protesters. I'm going to break my quarantine to protest, but please stop looting so your message doesn't get convoluted. So the other side doesn't have ammunition. And a number of people, a number of Black lives, a number of people of color, a number of people came out and were like, hey, white boy, you don't know your privilege. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We don't know the situation, but you have no right to tell us how to protest. And they were right. And I completely went into learning about the severity of the atrocities. I went into like, of course you're not going to get a loud enough voice unless things are getting broken on the way. Of course this needs to be bigger and go on. Fucking Breonna Taylor's murderers are still not in jail. They fired one. He's going to get hired somewhere else, and they're all still walking free. Two are getting fucking paid. Yep. So fuck all of this. Yep. Burn it all down. But it wasn't my place as a white dude to say, don't trash Melrose. I would prefer you not, but I shouldn't have made a public statement. So instead of being hurt, retaliating, being butthurt, and being like, you're wrong, I like tagged out of Instagram for a week, learned, grew, came back revitalized, and changed my worldview, because education is all we have. Learning is all we can do. So I'm trying to always be coming forward with my best face, and I'm always trying to grow and be better. And I want every day of quarantine to, like, we're all fucking stuck. We might as well get better. So I'm absolutely trying to come out of this better. So the question I think was about like how I stay positive or something positive. It's not always the case, but I don't want people to not be able to be reliant on me when they need me. I want to be that source of escapism. And there were like 3 weeks of my podcast and my YouTube show that were just fucking rage, but I sandwiched it with some nice positivity. Like the bread was still like, yeah, Spider-Man, but the meat was like, fuck the man. Because I think both are important right now. And I'm going to stay political. I'm going to stay active. I'm going to stay vocal, because if I'm silent, then I'm not using my privilege correctly. I'm not using my voice. I'm not using my platform correctly. But I'm also trying to learn how to balance that so that people that are using me as an escape don't be like, why are you yelling? So I'm trying to really balance that. So I hope that answers your question, but know that I'm not perfect and know that I'm not always positive, but that is what I try to deliver, and I'm glad it's working.
Wow. Again. Standing up.
Sorkin!
We got I got two more Streamlabs that have come in. I just want to go. I'll interrupt the Kelsey for a minute there. It looks like this one was from a while ago. From my mortal enemy again this week, Alan Smithy says, "Hey DJR, PLD, and Coy, love call to action. Coy, I faced PLD on Schmobates this week as the greatest manager in the Showdown. What advice do you have for a rookie going up against a seasoned pro? Give me a pep talk, but not that good. I didn't throw that. That's for me, but
as a player,
as a player."
Because I didn't know if you were like managing a team, and I was like, do I have competition? Okay. As a player, look at your strengths, not your weaknesses. I find a lot of the things a lot of people do wrong is they focus on their weakness, and it's almost like The Secret. Suddenly all that shit you focused on is everything that gets asked, or you're only remembering the stuff you focused and drilled on, and you forget the stuff you actually know. So build up your strengths. Be aware of your weaknesses. Use your strengths to support your weaknesses. Don't ignore your weaknesses, but don't focus on your weaknesses. I do like an 80-20 split. 80% of the stuff you know it. 20%. And the biggest thing is enjoy it. Like, if you're stressed learning, you're not going to have a good time in the Showdown or prepping for it, and you're not going to remember shit. So that's another reason to do the 80%, because that's the shit you probably like. If you know it, you probably enjoy it. So focus on the positive, just like in life. The 20% of knee-deep shit will fucking be there, I promise. But if you look at the 80%, at least you don't see the shit up to your ankles.
Perfect. All right. Another one from
I have
Tavishka.
a question from Twitter. Sorry, Paul.
I
I have a question coming from Twitter from Michael Sandoval on Twitter. Is there any new hobbies you've picked up during these past few months? And is there anything that you truly appreciate now that you felt like you didn't appreciate before quarantine?
That's a great question. I've taken more time to myself to unravel me than I would have ever. I'm an extrovert and a half. I'm going insane. I'm taking this super, super seriously. I'm seeing less than 3 people a week. I'm seeing the person that produces my podcast. I'm seeing my very good friend / ex-girlfriend who I recently lived with. So like someone I'm close to, and I'm trying to only see one friend every 3 weeks and get tested in between that friend. So and I don't think without the personal work I could have survived that before, because I feed off energy. I feed off this, and I feed off crowds. Like, you guys have seen me at Comic-Cons. I'm like I need that. Like, I like a good, but I really like a good, like, I need the big. So I really wouldn't have been able to get through this if I didn't work on myself. So I've been looking at why I'm uncomfortable alone. I've been looking at why I don't like the voice in my head when I don't have anything to bounce it off of. I've been looking at why I talk for a living and why I feel the need to connect. I'm looking at why I like lean into the handsome ironically, but like, no, I'm objectively good looking. So then I downplay both. And that doesn't benefit anyone. Like, it's the big dick energy thing. Like, right. Some people aren't objectively attractive, but there's something about them that's attractive.
Right.
I think everyone should be as confident in themselves as they are, no matter what shape they are, no matter what they look like. And like, I hadn't been doing that. I'd been like doing it ironically. I'd been like, and then being like, and that's not healthy. So like, embracing flaws in mental and physical in everything in order to come out of this the person that I want to lead others to be. Like, I want to be the person that everyone thinks I am and better. And I want to wake up tomorrow better than I went to bed today times infinity. And I wouldn't have done that if I didn't like go into my cave, you know, like into my Fight Club penguin cave. So healing a lot of old wounds, therapizing myself. And then as far as skills, boxing, I was running and then I broke a toe and then I marched on the toe and I re-broke the toe and I'm now getting back into running. My toe healed incorrectly, so it was calcifying wrong. It was a whole thing. That was dumb. That's a lesson. But like, running again. So like, I'm getting a lot out of this. I also didn't know what OBS was until I started my YouTube show, because I've only worked at studios. I was a guy that didn't have a YouTube show. I was an actor. I was a guest. I then had producers because of the way my career went. Like, I had a SAG card before I had a YouTube channel. So like, I didn't learn the foundational stuff. So I've had to do this ass backwards. The first 2 months of my show, I have the best fans in the world because it was like me with like a zoetrope, like trying to figure out, like, the picture was like this. And I was like, what is, and like, I've learned OBS and I've learned some tech and I'm learning how to, I have a camera now. I need to set it up. That's my next lesson. So never stop learning, never stop growing, always be better than yesterday. And any skill is worth knowing except ones that hurt others.
Nice.
All right.
Great answer.
Getting back to Tavishka production ones. I love Tavishka. Coy, congratulations on the Emmy consideration for comic book shopping. So as an indie hip hop fan, what's the better album? The College Dropout by Kanye, The Big Day by Chance, or Camp by Gambino?
Camp, come on. Okay. College Dropout is my favorite Kanye album.
Mine too.
Sure. But comparing Kanye to either of Chance or Childish is like, to me, personally, like comparing Avicii to a SoundCloud DJ. Like, to be honest, Avicii reinvented EDM and made it soundscapes and was able to cause emotion with ambience and artificial sounds. Childish is able to write poetry that's postmodern, and modern. He's simultaneously sincere and ironic. He's simultaneously hilarious and heartbreaking. He's simultaneously a poet and an MC. He's art. So Camp is that manifesting while he feels like he's got a chip in his shoulder, while he's the underdog. Camp is one of the most important albums in hip-hop, period, in my opinion.
I think one of the reasons, I just want to touch on that just really quickly. I think one of the reasons why Kanye West personally I was a huge fan of Kanye West growing up. I'm not anymore. I'm very much not anymore. But College Dropout, I think what Kanye thinks about himself in that like, because he used a lot of samples, and samples have always been a part of hip hop for a very, very long time, since the beginning of hip hop. But the way that Kanye West used his samples in his music, and it just, I think he got it caught up into his head that he was revolutionizing hip hop in a way, and he kind of did. Like, his lyrics were a lot of fun. It did turn it into a certain way, but oh god, he's just so full of himself.
And like, I think that people think that chronologically is more important than skill. Kanye was first, and it was a great album. I think College Dropout's a spectacular album. I think it's his best album. I think it's inspiring. I think what he went through is insane. I think the storytelling in that album's next level. I think Jesus Walks was able to combine gospel and hip hop in a way that we hadn't seen since Tupac. Mm-hmm. I think it's really an important album. But just because it came first doesn't mean it's inherently better than Camp. And all of the things I just listed about Camp, I don't personally feel about College Dropout. So, like, we wouldn't have Donald Glover without Kanye in the same sound, possibly. But we also wouldn't have any of that without Eazy-E, without Tupac, without like Too Short, without like a lot of the OGs that don't even get, like, Too Short's not even in conversation. Too Short changed the Oakland sound. The Oakland sound influenced the New York sound. The New York sound then influenced the SoCal sound. The SoCal sound then influenced the Atlanta sound. All of that blended together in the late 90s and caused the new wave of hip hop. And Too Short's not even a conversation. So, like, yeah, everyone needs their love, but Camp?
Fair enough. All right, Kelsey.
That was amazing. I didn't know you knew that much about hip hop. That's amazing. I'm sorry, it just blew my brain.
I'm really enjoying that. Like, now we've got the switch with Paul. Like, this is the comic book portion for Danielle. Paul's like, I know this Childish Gambino. A lot of the other names, not so much. And I respect that, because I recommend, good sir, any of Too Short stuff to get like a baseline of Oakland sound, but then immediately switch over to, I like Machiavelli, the album, but pre-Machiavelli Tupac was hugely influential on both coasts, because everyone wanted to be Tupac because he was Tupac. And then when Biggie started doing like a more of a free flowy party rap, like more of the fun sound, then you've got Bad Boy, and Bad Boy changed everything. But so much of that was what was people mixing in Oakland. Like, I think that Oakland is such a cool piece of music history that, like, should get talked about more. And this is all biased. Like, all of this is opinion. There's going to be 8 people in the comments like, fuck, this guy doesn't know hip hop. But, like, my experience is that sound is slept on.
Yep.
Fair enough. Jake Yakubet has been trying to slowly get me into hip hop. He always calls me out because he knows that my eyes kind of glass over. I'm a big Queen Japanese rock.
I called you out too. I was like, let's talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's good. It's all good. I should really because I mean, I definitely grew up with a different sound system, but I like to get into different sounds. I love variety and everything else. I mean, Queen's my favorite band, and Queen does all sorts of different genres, so I should really use that and get into some different genres from myself. So, but I get that. So, okay, Kelsey, you want to move on to the next super chat? If Dune is sex and Tenet is dessert, they've got some things in common. I'm not having any of these things in 2020. Very good, AJ. I love AJ. I respect that one. There you go.
Yep, I have no witty follow up because that was damn funny.
Pretty good. All right, Kelsey. Next. Anything else on the chat? Or I see her. She's actually in the screen. I can start going. Wait, gotta go. You lost your place.
Sorry in the live chat asked what I thought of Clipping, which is Daveed Diggs. He's part of that group. Clipping is spectacular. Daveed Diggs is an Oakland rapper that I have a huge amount of respect for. Recently watched Hamilton. I knew him as a rapper before. Blind Spotting, I think, is the best movie of 2018 without Spider-Man in it. Spider-Verse came out, so it kind of knocked it down one, but that's Spider-Verse. Let's not excuse that movie. But like Blind Spotting, I think, is one of the most important films in the world. And it does a great job showing the importance of the freedom of hip hop. It's like if Disney didn't do sonnets, if they broke into rap, but it was a serious film. Like if they break into music that often as a Disney film, but it's incredible music. It's a really important story. Daveed Diggs is magic. Blind Spotting is one of my top 20 films of all time. And it's super rare. 1 year gives me 2 of my top 20, but like Spider-Verse and Blind Spotting, both 2018. If you haven't seen it, it's a really important movie for right now, and it has some of the best music I've heard on a soundtrack in forever. And it's a double album soundtrack, both on Spotify. My boy Raphael Cassell and Daveed Diggs putting in work.
Boom! I did love Blind Spotting. I feel
like I'm like the whitest John Cusack with the boombox, but instead it's like weird like Bone Thugs or actually no, way more obscure. It's like Tech 9. Like I'm like a white boy in the boombox, but it's like Tech 9. Everybody's like, what the fuck, white boy?
Yes.
JJ, we're Nerd Action Army General. What would your ideal Moon Knight series look like casting?
Paint you a picture.
Okay, here we go.
You open with 5 different leads: a Frenchman, a movie star, a poet, a little girl, and an assassin. All 5 of these characters go about their day, and little tiny details build into the second act that feel familiar. You then, in the second act, notice strange little discrepancies, like they walk out of a door into a place that wouldn't make sense to you. You can play with a little bit of movie magic and like actually a set. During the second act, we build to the fact that like the people are like losing track of time and space. They're like, I wasn't supposed to be here, blah, blah, blah. Third act of the pilot, which is an hour and a half. You want to build, this is some Luther, some BBC shit. You realize all 5 of the leads you've been following are one person, who is Moon Knight, and his multiple personalities are then quieted by him talking to Khonshu, the god of the moon. He puts on his white mask and dives into the night into the second episode.
Oh, that is fucking gorgeous. If that doesn't happen, I'm going to be disappointed. When the Moon Knight series comes out and that's not the way it goes, I'm going to be disappointed. I love it so much.
Interesting.
That's what I want. That's what I want for the show. And, nobody's called me yet, but Kevin. Available.
Perfect.
Got a little bit of time.
All right, Kelsey, anything more? All right, Cam Chef, where did you get those epic pillows? Oh, I love those pillows.
So these are actually from Society 6, which is a great website. And I like that they're made by artists, that the money goes to the artists. The website gets a little bit of a thing, but like this goes to the artist. And I love supporting independent artists, and I love supporting online artists because they cut out the middleman. It's mainly like you paying an artist. And I always have a ton of pop culture stuff, but my pillows were boring. So when my pillows started falling apart, I was like, well, why don't I replace them with the weirdest pop culture pillows I've ever seen? So a lot of my favorite actors had Civil War pillows, and I started collecting them, and it grew into a weird thing. One of my favorite details is that the first small one I got was Tom Cruise. Because he is we. When I move, I get a new one. So when I move to this next place, I'm buying 2. So in the next 2 weeks, there will be 2 new ones, plus shipping time. But I'm getting Idris Elba and Keanu Reeves.
That's a good fare. I like that.
I do too.
I want to actually I want to interject real quick, only because I have you here. Do you read novels and books and things like Brandon Sanderson, for example?
I do not. I know that author. Usually, since I read so much fiction in the comic book space, most of the stuff I'm reading in novels is nonfiction.
Right.
So like right now I'm reading Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay.
So like I'm trying to expand the kind of information we get in my head. So I've seen the name Brandon Sanderson, but I'm generally trying to lean into like data-based content.
Gotcha. Well, if you do get a chance, I want to throw in there. He did a couple of novellas. They're short reads called Legion. Not the X-Men Legion, different Legion. And I think it'd be right up your alley. And they might be making a TV series about it as well. It's about a guy. Yeah. It reminds me of Moon Knight.
I gotta switch my sound because my phone is almost dead. Apologies. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay, perfect.
It's just about a guy who has multiple personalities, and he's a detective, and he uses these multiple personalities, like these skills. He can invent personalities. So he invents these skills. Like when he needs a person, he needs someone who speaks a different language. He invents this this personality,
Cool.
and they comes together. And he knows he's like this isn't real. Like he knows like he's got some mental illness and everything. So he sort of leans into it. It's really awesome. I think you're right up your alley. So since you've been giving
that sounds rad.
I'll give it to you.
And novella. I always want more insight. So yeah, that sounds great.
Perfect. Okay. Anything else, Kels? Are we good? Or is that the last one? Or give me a thumbs up or thumbs down? Or that's it. All right, that's it. We all examined the chat, and it's just almost time.
It is almost
it anyway.
We did the damn thing. I had an hour 11 and we went to it.
Boom! Perfect.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, so much fun. Coy, this was so exciting. We really have been waiting to talk to you for a long time because we knew that the conversations were going to be great and really insightful. And this was so much fun to hang out with you. We learned a lot, and I'm super pumped. And camshaft in the chats really quickly. Thanks, Virgo.
What is your birthday, Coy?
September 15th.
Yeah. All right, there you go.
2 months from Wednesday, I'm having myself a birthday, and it's going to be real quarantine, but I'm real excited anyway.
Good. And there's another record. That's a longer series, but by Sanderson, but also a very much a comic book. It would be a great comic book. I'll tell you that. It's a big superhero type story. So
hell yeah! I saw someone in the chat say I should play Kvoth in the Name of the Wind trilogy, the King Killer.
King Killer. Oh, so good.
That is such a compliment because I love that trilogy. The two that are out.
Yeah.
But I'm a diehard, so thank you. That was very flattering, whomever said that, because I do rather look like his description. I would be quite honored.
You do. I'll give you that. Definitely.
Right now, I'm turning into Fandral a little bit.
I love it.
Like it's because when else am I gonna have a year to not cut my hair? So I might all right my way right out of this quarantine by the time it's over.
I love it. I'm there for it.
As long as it gets that big dick Knight's Tale energy with the he loves your hair.
Perfect.
Woo! That is right, y'all. This conversation has been full of big dick energy tonight. We very much enjoyed it. We very much appreciate every single one of y'all in the chat. You know, we do this every week. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us for this whole time. We went long, but we love it when we go long, right, Paul?
We love it long.
That's right.
Big dick energy.
Big dick energy.
Energy. That is absolutely right. So again, big shout out to everyone in the chat. Big shout out to Coy. Before we get out of here, if you'd like to plug anything that you're up to, please get it in there.
A side plug. It's the TV Academy. It's in their hands, but just being considered for an Emmy for comic book shopping. We talked about that a bunch, but I'm so honored, flattered, appreciative. So thank you to the Academy, even if I never get to stand anywhere. Thank you. So that's really it's an honor. As far as plugging, I do a show called Coycast, which is an audio podcast that drops every Wednesday morning at dawn. As soon as it's 12:01, there's a podcast called Coycast. Get it on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you get your podcasts. And I talk about comics, movies, pop culture, everything that's going on. It is my audio version of Giant Size Heroes. And then on Tuesday, days of the week. Tuesday, I do Coy Cubed, which is my video show. It is at 2, usually on YouTube, on my channel, Coy Jandreau. If you enjoyed this conversation, it's a lot like this. I lost a lot of followers that I realized were assholes, so I've been really enjoying. It's been a fun challenge to be like, if I turn into my authentic self, will I be talking to 6 people I really like? Because I like those 6 people. So we'll see what happens on YouTube. So find me over there. I've loved doing that show. And then Wednesday of this week, a really cool Collider Connected with your boy drops, talking to a very special guest. And that same special guest is on my podcast this week. And Patreon, we've talked about it. There are hella tiers, and I don't stop working. So if you'd like to fuel a horrible habit that is gonna burn me out, but also keep me fed, Patreon for all of your weird Coy needs.
Yay! Woo!
This was awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you. This is a lot of fun. Coy's Patreon link is in the description, so you can find it there. His Twitter handle is also in the description, along with all of our info and all of our socials and all of that good stuff. So again, happy Monday, everyone. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, for everyone at Call to Action and the Action Army.
We got one stream came in.
Oh.
Last minute, we're not to do there. Tavishka Productions to say he's got to call it a night. So do we. We're all calling it a night. But want to stay with the community for my birthday. So happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! I know that name. They're great on the internet.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday! And Denny, you forgot, did you want to plug it in for yourself?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I have a YouTube channel as well, so you can definitely go find me over there. Just search Danielle Ramirez. You can find me there. Watch the Book will be coming out very shortly, and also I will be coming out with the Padawan Chronicles with a review on Lost Stars with Mr. Paul Denuzio right over here. So be on the lookout for that. You can find it there. My Twitter description is also inside of the
description.
Yeah. Did we forget to plug ourselves?
Yeah, we did. That's what I'm doing now.
Oh.
And I apologize for you on Twitter. You can find me on Call to Action, Chill to Action every week with my favorite co-host, Danny Joy. And also you can find me on Action Industry. I run the Patreon for Ben and Drew for patreon.com/Team Action. You can also find me on the Action Industries YouTube channel doing a show called Class Action this Sunday live at 9 p.m. Pacific. Jarvie and myself are going to be joined by Ben Bateman as we count down the top 5 Tony Scott movies, which we love Tony Scott. So I need to give a little more recommendations on Tony Scott. And finally, I do have PLD Projects, my YouTube channel that I've been starting imminently. I swear it's going to happen imminently. I'll be starting the Harris Stance, where I take you through all the movies of Ed Harris and I make you love him as much as I do, or I die trying. So
I respect it. That's a valiant fact, and it's a worthy goal. Like, it's a worthy person.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I love that you said that. So, all right, guys, thank you very much again. We love you very much. We will see you next week. We'll see you this week on Schmobates, hopefully. And as always, in the Action Army, we salute you.
Bye.